wrote this one because I love you, and I want you to love me too, girl.
I just want to love the way you love the way I love.
I love you.
I just want to love the way you love. I love the way I love you.
You my TRL, I'm looking at you. The look in my eye, you can tell that I wanna know you, better yet show you that I treat you right, this I owe ya. The feelings I feel are not obscene. It's no secret I'll go in public and scream. I'll LOV you, my baby girl. The feeling's so true, we can make our own world. We were made for each other, I feel like you love. We had a child, we be father and mother. There ain't no other I'd rather spend my time with. This love can endure anything that splits. If it wasn't legit, you wouldn't hear it. I could never be confused by your spirit. We just take it still a rollie, cause we both know what we do. I'm in LOV with you.
I just want
to
love,
baby girl.
Love the way you
love me.
Love the way I love.
I love you.
I just want to,
hey.
I want to love.
Oh,
love the way you love.
Love me.
The way I love you.
I love you, girl. Just relax, 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 just relax. Hold your hand when we in town. Protect this love, even in the underground. Joy to God needing brunch on a blanket. This God that granted us these days, I thank it. It's no wonder why I'm comfortable with you. It's all the simple things for me that you do. When you rub my back, this feeling so nice. Much more than reunion and ice. It's about the kindness I can see in your face, and the way it's at the right time and place. No other woman I'd rather spend my time is. This love is so fresh I can taste.
I just want to love the way you love the way I love.
I love you.
I just want to love the way you love.
It's about you.
Love the way I love you.
I love you. Just relax, 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 just relax. LOV you, my GRL. What? It's like that.
Can you feel it? Nothing can save ya, cause this is the season of funky behavior. I came to relax your mind, you can recline. On what? On this here rhyme. I like the style, I'm staying for a while. It helps me show cats that I'm versatile. I'll touch your dial, turn your frown to a smile. I'll make you feel like you're having a child. So relax and open up, child. I'm about to make you walk what? Pimp style or pimped out style. You don't understand the logic. See, if you don't have it all, I'll take a deposit. I got shit for you, it's alright indeed. It's like going to the garden and planting the seed. It might tickle for a second, but it won't bleed.
So just relax, just hear a dope ride. Your vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax, and just hear a dope ride. Your vibes is real nice, everything is real fat. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat.
Your entertainment, at the same time, edutainment. In other words, you could we call it bent. What I'm saying is that I'm here at your service. It's hard work, but then again, I deserve this. I'm helping people enjoy their spare time. I'm like an instructor when I'm doing my rhyme. Relax and just hit the dope track. It's really not all that, it's not like a gag. We like that when everything is relaxed and chill. You don't have to get fucked up or take pills, cause I like being myself, it feels good. Yo, it makes my meals taste good. 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 So just relax. It's your dope track. Life is real nice, everything is real bad. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax. And hear a dope track. Life is real nice, everything is real bad. You don't have to do work, we do that. It's the type of place where you can wear your hat. Just relax. My mind state now, it won't it?
I hope everybody's having a wonderful Sunday. I know you are. I mean, if you got family, if you got friends, hey, you doing a lot better than a lot of people. Always understand that things could be worse. You know what I mean? I learned some time ago, complaining is not how you embrace what you have. I learned that, I learned my lesson with that a long time ago. And to be quite honest with you, I've never really been a complainer, to be honest. I don't know what that is. Maybe some people are more prone to it. But I grew up in a circumstance where I just realized, hey, man, you get what you earn. You get what you work for. You want to go get something? Go out there and get it. The world is your oyster. Go get it. Let me see what you got, type of thing. And if you prepare yourself, right, then and you focus, you're going to get somewhere. You're going to get somewhere. And where you get, nobody else may even be able to tell you. And to be honest, my whole life has kind of been that way. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of the things that I've been able to see, nobody ever told me I would be able to see. Nobody could explain it to me. And you know what? It's not really their job to do that either. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in a household, man. I don't even think one person asked me, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? I don't think I've been asked that one time. But you know what I did have? I had love in the house. I had access to all the things that I wanted to take interest in. If I wanted to take interest in something, I had that option. You know what I mean? Maybe I didn't have the fanciest clothes on earth. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I didn't have, all the fanciest bike on the block, for example, right? But, you know what I'm saying, my pops would definitely make sure that I had a bike and shoes, and my parents, my moms, they would make sure that I had clothes on my back and food to eat and a safe home to be in, at the very least, at the minimum, you know what I'm saying? So when I wanted to tune out from everything else, I had a place to go tune out to. And in fact, I could also tune in, and that's how I really got into music. That's how I got into DJing. I mean, I started off DJing when I was like 15 years old in my crib. Everybody from DC that knows me as a kid, that knows me, they know I had my crib down in the basement, my room down in the basement. Had my little DJ set up in there at 15 years old. That's like, what is that, 1985? You know what I'm saying? 1985. And I used to have cats come through the crib and rap when we used to make little DJ. I used to cut up the beats and stuff like that, and had a microphone, and cats used to come over, and we used to make tapes back then. You know what I'm saying? One of my homeboys, DJ Iron from Washington, D.C., WHUR radio. And everybody that's in D.C., they know DJ Iron. If you grew up in D.C. and you've been going out to clubs and things like that, you know DJ Iron. Well, DJ Iron and me, we've been homeboys since way back. We come from the same neighborhood. He'll tell you about myself. He'll tell you about Grizz. He'll tell you about Sir, our other homeboy, and a lot of our shenanigans when we were young. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, you know what I'm saying? I actually took DJing pretty far. DJing got me into making music. DJing, because of the way I was DJing. And also I want to say, big up to my man Charles Andrews, DJ Days from the Chapter 3. If you remember, if you ever hear this, what's up? It's your boy Rec out here, right? So, having said that, right, I actually was able to turn DJing into making music. You know what I'm saying? And I was fortunate enough to have some cats that got signed to a record deal, and they was like, yo, you know what we need to do? This our first record deal. You know what we're going to do? We're going to get Rec down with us and bring him up here with us, because Rec is a beast on the tables. But not only that, I was doing like soul kitchen types of events. Like, so I was doing like hip hop and playing soul, you know, old classics and soul and hip hop, classic soul and hip hop, you know. So I was one of the cats in DC doing that early in like the 80, 88, 89, 89. You could say I was pretty much out on my own doing that, right? 88, 89. And, you know, my homeboys, they're some pretty talented singers. They go by the name of Giant Storm, right? Giant and Storm. And so they got a record deal, right? So they called me up there, and that kind of pulled me and gave me the opportunity to really see, you know, for the first time. Of course, I already knew a little bit about drum machines and all of that shit, but it gave me the opportunity to really see how the music industry worked, how recording, tracking works, how mixing and stuff like that actually happening, and how promoting, making music videos and all of that shit, the whole industry, you know. So I was actually blessed to have that opportunity. So I'm one of the few people that actually, you know, I turned into music. And everybody will tell you that. Everybody that knows me will tell you this motherfucker has been DJing for a long time. And he literally took his love, and his love took him outside to other places to see other people and venture out. And so I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed to have that opportunity. And you know what? Hey, I didn't do that on the government's dime. I didn't do it on the government's dime, you know. So I'm just saying, you know, anybody inside of the Republican Party, you know, thinks that you did some shit for me. You ain't do shit for me ever in my life. Nothing. Okay? My parents paid taxes, and you didn't do shit for me. I'm not saying that taxes shouldn't play a role, but for people in my generations, you know, tax dollars wasn't really used that way. You know what I'm saying? Not like it is where I live in Denmark. When people pay taxes in Denmark, you get the opportunity to go to school. You see what I mean? I mean, a lot of the reasons why I couldn't even go to school is because it comes down to money. What, you going to pay rent, or you going to go to school? Which one is it going to be? You see what I mean? Like, you going to pay for school, or you going to pay for rent? Which one? And that's a lot of Americans for you. And I'm going to tell you, that's not a lot of Europeans for you. That's a lot of United States citizens for you. In the richest country in the world, they make you choose every day of the week. And that was my generation. You know, I grew up in the Reagan era, and it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But having said that, I never complained. You see what I'm saying? Having said that, I never complained. I was one of the people other people fucking complained about. You know what I'm saying? I was the people the Republicans fucking complained about. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the scourge of the inner cities and all of this shit, and, you know, the black man and all of this stuff, you know. It's like, come on, you know, this is really it. America complained, man. Shit. What you think Birth of a Nation movie was all about? That was complaining about a black man not being a slave anymore and having to hide the white women. That's literally what it was about. You see what I mean? If anybody knows the Birth of the Nation movie, there was a big controversy when, who was that who played that in the White? I think it was Trump who had a night where he played Birth of the Nation. Let me see something here. Where he played Birth of a Nation inside of the White House for these maggots. Oh, yes, he did. Yes, he did. You know, so I'm one of the part. I come from the part of America, Washington, D.C., where it's just north of the Mason-Dixon line. So to be honest with you, I don't give a fuck about anybody that praises anything about the Confederate Army. Fuck you and your ancestors. I hope you all die. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, you all are a goddamn plague. Now, if you smart enough to repent, to understand that you were depriving women of their fucking rights, and you were depriving other humans of their human rights, then it's all good. It's all good. Everybody makes mistakes. You're not to blame. Who your ancestors are, you can't be blamed for. But if you don't recognize, and you refuse to recognize the harm, that's another story. So, you know, having said that, I never really complained, man. I got busy, you know what I'm saying? And I got busy not around people that didn't want to be around black men. No, I didn't bother myself. I got busy around all the other people that didn't mind being around talented black men. You know what I'm saying? That's what I did. The Asians, the Italians, you know what I'm saying? The Jews, the Japanese, you know what I'm saying? The Caribbean people, just everybody else. We had a party, you know what I'm saying? Up there in the music industry, the Nigerians, the people from the UK. We had fun. Yes, we did. We had a lot of fun. Oh, my goodness. So I spent my 20s, man, having fun, seeing shit a lot of other people didn't get a chance to see. And then that allowed me to go overseas. And, you know, when I look at the haters out there, it just lets me know that, damn, man, you guys complain a lot. And that's why this stream is entitled what? That's why this stream is entitled USA, Happiest Nation on Earth. You know what I'm saying? Because Americans complaining. They complain. When Joe Biden was in office, they complained it was the worst ever. Ooh, you remember that? It was the worst ever. Now that they in power, oh, we can't get nothing because of the immigrants. These are some complaining ass motherfuckers. And let me tell you, when you do nothing but complain, you get nowhere at all. You can't even, you probably don't even have health care, you motherfuckers. I didn't even complain and I got health care. What the fuck? I didn't complain. I just explored the fucking world. I was just cool with people. Oh, really? You got a company over here in Italy? Okay, shit. Invite me. I'll go over there and DJ, do some events for you guys. You guys have an opening going on. And oh, no problem, man. Hi, brother. I'll go over there. Shit. What's up? You know what I'm saying? Why? Because it beats these crackers in the U.S. It beats these crackers in the U.S. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. Somebody was on my damn page today just complaining and fucking complaining. He had the nerve to bring up Booker T. Washington. I had to block this motherfucker, you know. He had the nerve to bring up Booker T. Washington because he can see my skin color. So he brings up Booker T. Washington. Man, I was sitting there listening to this dude. He done spam my chat all up, like got 20 comments, just irrelevant information, by the way, not even on the topic, nothing correlating and shit. You know what I'm saying? It's just more bullshit, right? And you know what I did? He was so busy. You know what I did? I said, you know what? Let me go look up Booker T. Washington. Did Booker T. Washington ever go to Europe? And lo and behold, Booker T. Washington went to Europe, and he had some wonderful things to say about European life and Europeans. Look it up. He came over here to study education to figure out what's up with the look at it. Was it Booker T. Washington or Carter G. Wilson? But I'll forget. Excuse me. It's one of them. I got to go to my page and look at it. Sometimes I get them confused. But nonetheless, it had something to do part business, right? Because he was actually, you know, promoting the U.S. in some way, promoting the idea of black Americans being free people in the USA to Europe. At the same time, he was doing his study. He was studying and he was learning about the educational system over here so he could take it back to the Tuskegee Institute. Yeah. You see what I mean? So here's the thing. I know a lot of the maggot people, they're not interested in this kind of stuff. That's not something they really partake in. And if they do, it's only for a trope to make one little main point. But my point is this. I've seen the part of the world that he was talking about for myself. And I'm also here to tell you that if you think you're better, then why do you complain so much? Why do you complain so much? Why? Why do you complain so much? If the Taco Master 500, yeah, for real, tacos for everybody. Yeah, please get them some fucking tacos. Yo, get the orange man out here. You know what I'm saying? But listen, free tacos, everybody. But listen, for real, why? So I'm here to ask, because I know that's what MAGA got. They got a lot of complaints. What are your complaints about the United States of America? Is it the best country on earth? Put a 1 in the chat if the United States of America is the best country on earth. And put a 2 in the chat if it's just, it's not quite as good as it could be. Let me see what your thoughts are. Is it the best country on earth? Well, let's say, is it better than Denmark? Let's say, for example. Is it better than Norway? Let's see, for example. Is it the best? Best means the best. That means tip top number 1. Let's see what you got to say. Anybody? Taco Master? Tony Fernandez? What about you? Is it Rocky Mountain? Anybody? Anybody? You know what I'm saying? Look at you. See that pause just hit deep. Come on now. Come on. Is it or is it not? Okay. Because Toy, if it is, then I really hope you ain't do no goddamn complaining, please, because I'm tired of your complaining. Complaints won't get you nowhere. Okay, let me be the first to tell you. Complaints didn't get me somewhere. Complaints didn't get me somewhere. Oh, okay, it's lagging. Oh, my internet's lagging. Okay, there you go. Well, I'm just saying, if you look at this. Christian, Switzerland is ranked. Exactly. But I want to know from Americans, since these motherfucking maggots talk so much shit, they want to be the number one country on earth, but they got nothing but complaints. The complaints about Joe Biden, complaints about Kamala, complaints. So from my experience, I've heard people complaining about immigrants like immigrants affect every aspect of their fucking life, and that has to happen only first before any fucking thing else in the country can work. So that means ain't not everything that's fucked up you blamed on immigrants. So it can't be the best country on earth, can it? Can it? Can it be the best country on earth? Huh? Is immigrants fucking up everything for you? Is that what it is? That means immigrants are fucking up your jobs. Immigrants are fucking up your health care. What else did Trump say immigrants was fucking up? So you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. Trump says it ain't shit. That's what he said the U.S. was. Yep. And he said that. He said that proudly. You know what I'm saying? He even said the military ain't shit. Yep. That's what he did. That's exactly what he did. He definitely did. So let me ask you, what is illegal immigrants doing to make the United States not the number one place on earth? What are immigrants doing to make the United States not the best country on earth? What is it, number 10? How do you rank? How do you rank the United States? Is it number 1? Is it number 2? Is it number 20? Is it number 40? Yeah. I'm curious because I done heard complaints from these maggots all week. So you can't have it both ways, because people in the people that I just don't understand how you could complain so much and live in the best country on earth. The two don't seem to match. You see what I'm saying? So that's crazy. Yeah. So again, I'm gonna ask you if it's stopping you from getting health care, like Trump said, if it's stopping you from getting a job, like Trump said, is it the best country on earth? Or is that a damn lie? Look at this. They just shift all of a sudden. No complaints from MAGA. Look, I like that, Tony. Yeah, no complaints from MAGA. We're so happy. We're sorry happy. That's what they say. You see that? You see how they just flip the script? Because they know it doesn't make any sense. You see? So now immigrants aren't MAGA's problem. Immigrants aren't fucking over the healthcare system. Immigrants aren't fucking over the job market. Immigrants aren't taking away from the Social Security. Immigrants aren't doing all. Just instantly. You see what I'm saying? Just instantly, all that just got wiped away, just like that. You know what I'm saying? Listen, you can't have it both ways. You cannot have it both ways, and nobody can. You see what I mean? And all I got to say is, you are the motherfuckers complaining. It ain't me. It's not me, man. Hey, you can have it exactly how you want to have it. You know, no problem. You can have it exactly how you have it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how you want it. So that's how you vote. You get it how you vote. You know what I'm saying? But in any case, having said that, now that we know that the U.S., everybody else knows that the U.S. is not the happiest nation on earth. Now that we got past that part, because that was pretty easy, even though these people lied their ass off in the chat and shit. Even though they lag. Look at that. I flagged your ass. Look at you petty ass. God damn, man. See, why you complaining? Why you complaining? You in the United States. What the fuck you complaining about? You not happy? You not happy? But you really love Trump when he shit on everybody else, though. You really love that, though, right? Yeah, I bet you do. I bet you do. Well, I'm here to tell you I'm an American. I live outside of the U.S., and I live in one of the countries they call the happiest. It's not number one anymore. It's like number two. And I'm happy. I ain't got no complaints, man. I live in Denmark. I ain't got no complaints. Hey, man, it is what it is, and it's going to remain that way until you learn how to either stop complaining or fix something. God damn. But it seems like it's going to somehow. I don't think it's going to get so fixed so easy going after the immigrants. I think you might need to deal with some of the motherfucking billionaires because they're very happy. And see, if I said, what country on earth are the billionaires the most happiest in? They would say the United States of America. Yes, they would. And I would agree with them. I would say, yeah, that makes about right. I talked to some billionaires. They said, yeah, man, America, that's the place. If you want to make some money, if you got money and you want to make even more money, the United States is the way. I mean, a lot of money now. I'm not talking about a little bit of money. I ain't talking about $1 million now. Get it? No. I'm talking about, you got to be a little more up there, and then you happy. Then you fine. You know what I'm saying? Living with a fence around you so none of the poor people come and beg from you and shit. Nothing gets robbed from you. Yeah, you're doing good. You know what I'm saying? But that's not MAGA. But that's not MAGA. That's not MAGA. MAGA ain't happy. MAGA's not rich. They ain't rich at all. Exactly. America is the top 25. Exactly. But I just had to open up the show because we got to have some laughs because these maggots are goddamn hard headed. And yes, we got to have a laugh at their expense. What the fuck? That's what it's all about. And if you're going to laugh, you need to laugh at people that are just hard headed as fuck. It ain't my fault. Reasoning and trying to be rational is not going to do it. So I'm not going to knock my head upside the fucking wall every day trying to figure their dumb asses out. I'm going to laugh. Ha 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 ha. I got healthcare and you don't. So what the fuck? My kids go to school. That shit is fucking hilarious. All right, now on to the more serious things. I'm sorry. Let's check out Meet the Press. Meet the Press was talking about Cuba. Man, Cuba, they was talking about Cuba. And they talked about, guess who else they talked about? The guy who shot the billionaire CEO or the rich healthcare CEO. Yeah. So the stream is called USA, Happiest Nation on Earth. Ha ha ha. Question mark. We solved that already. Cuba versus Trump / healthcare by bullet. Because the dude, he was like, what the fuck, man? You done took my money and you ain't give me no health care. Pow! You know what I'm saying? So there's been some interesting developments about him. I forget his name. Luciani, I think his name is. Something like that. The Italian guy, the Italian American, shot the healthcare CEO and the executive. And guess what? Murder's off the table. Guess what, maggots? Do you like that? Murder is off the table, y'all. Yay! Murder's off the table. Give the man a chance, man. Goddamn. Have some empathy for the brother. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that what these maggots do? Have some empathy for the people that slammed the police heads in the door in January 6th. Have some empathy for them. Yeah, let's have some empathy for Luigi. You know what I'm saying? You see, when you ask for empathy for Alex Pretty, no empathy at all. So yeah, have some empathy for Luigi, you maggots. Yay! Everybody, let's have a moment of silence for Luigi. Luigi, we know life is not perfect. And we know sometimes it can be just a little too much. So therefore, I understand you, man. A lot of Americans understand you. The healthcare system is robbing American citizens blind, and you got caught up on that. And as an American whose family on both sides goes back to the colonial period, I want to apologize. That's just unfair. I know you didn't expect it, but that's how it is in the U.S. So I'm sorry you had to experience that. Amen. Now, Now, and the guy is happy. I saw him on TV. He looked happy in court and shit. That's like, damn, that's amazing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, let's have a moment. We can have a moment for Pretty and Good too. I mean, this is the America that they want, though. They want an America with lack of empathy. They only want you to pause and have empathy when, it's a right winger who goes out and shoots a protester. When it's an ICE person, they want you to have empathy for the ICE officers that shot. Do you all remember Kyle Rittenhouse in his court case when he was on the stand and he was up there like this for like fucking 10 minutes straight? He was crying his ass off like he was the goddamn victim. Like, they made me go there to another state with my weapon, and I told them I didn't want to shoot them, and it's like, damn, man. He put on a whole show and people bought it. You know what I'm saying? Blubbering, and that shit was put. Matter of fact, just to make my point here. This is the world they want to be in. This is the world they want to be in. Because people ain't going to believe me. Everybody didn't see it. Everyone didn't see it. So everyone didn't see it, right? So let's just pull it up. And, before we get into the Cuba thing and then the Luigi thing, right, there's some details, I thought paralleled. It was interesting. Here we go. Oh, my God. This is just... What do I do? Am I supposed to post it? Look at this shit right here. Oh, my God. It is what it is, though, folks. It is what it is. Kyle Rittenhouse. Here we are. Here we go. Let's check it out. Now, he went to another state. He wasn't invited. Nobody to the demonstration said, come on down here. He heard a Black Lives Matter demonstration was going on in another state, and he thought it was a good idea to take his long gun, semi-automatic weapon, to the demonstration and, make sure people kept, knew their place, basically, in a whole nother state, whole nother town. He literally had to go state to state. I don't even know how many states he had to go through to get there. And he ended up planned shooting some people, which is, why would you heard Trump today. Why would you bring your gun to a protest? Why did he bring his gun to a protest? You see what I mean? So it's allowed when you're anti everyday people. When you're a right winger, you can bring your gun to a protest. And this is what happens. Look, he got off. He shot two people. People saw him with the gun and they thought he was going to go ham and shoot some people. And they got scared. So they tried to restrain him and he shot their ass. Well, why were you there in the first place, buddy? That's exactly what happened.
Once I take that step back, I look over my shoulder and Mr. Rosenbaum was now running from my right side, and I was cornered from in front of me with Mr. Zeminski, and there were three people right there.
Just the kind of bullshit Americans have to put up with every day. You know what I'm saying? I take my long rifle to another state because, hey, I don't want them rallying. Fuck Black Lives Matter. Who do they think they is? And you heard the guy's name, Rosenberg and something, Kamowski. You know what I'm saying? These and he shot their ass. They thought he came there to shoot. They were like, who the fuck brings a long gun? This guy's about to shoot people. That's what they thought. And you see, it all went wrong. He's like, they're attacking me.
People right there. I was cornered from in front of me with Mr. Zeminski.
Mr. Zeminski.
And there were three people right there.
Take a deep breath, pal.
That's what I. That's right, run.
I'm sorry. Is this phony? Is this phony? Is this phony? I'm just saying, this is crazy. The dude brings a long weapon to another state because he heard there was a protest. The people see him and are like, oh my fucking God, and try to restrain him, and he shoots them. What the fuck did he think was going to happen? What did he think he was going to? Yeah, this is exactly how he beat his case. That's what everybody should fucking do. Just cry your ass off. Just cry your ass off. You know, fuck it. You may as well drag it all out. Just drag it out. Just drag it all out. I mean, this is some, hold on. And look at who he shot. This is the senselessness of it. I'm going to play some more of this shit, but who did he shoot, and what was their ethnic background, and why were they there? Now, the people that he shot, they didn't commit a crime there. So, that's interesting. Yeah. So, he shot, who did Kyle Rittenhouse shoot? Right? He shot Kenosha, in Kenosha, Wisconsin, right? He killed Joseph Rosenbaum. I'm sorry. Here we go. 36-year-old white European American. Why was he there? Participating in a protest, unrest in Kenosha. He confronted Rittenhouse in a parking lot shortly before the shooting, right? Anthony Huber, outcome, killed. Background, white European American. Why was he there? Protester. Tried to stop Rittenhouse after Rosenbaum was shot. Yeah. Why did you bring a gun here? What are you doing? Right. Struck Rittenhouse with a skateboard. Okay. Outcome, wounded, shot in the arm, age 26. Gross crew. So he shot 3 people, all white males, all white European men, American men, ethnicity wise, right? Why was he there? Protester, paramedic volunteer. He shot a paramedic volunteer. See, jackass Rittenhouse, he went there thinking that it was all evil people, that I need to bring my gun. There's no way you can communicate with these people. They're all monkeys and savages. He came from another state where he has nothing to do with any of the people there, but assumed horrible things about the people before he came there, and he shot them. They, not knowing him, seeing him with a weapon, like, why is this dude bringing a weapon here? They want to know what the deal is. They don't want somebody shooting other people in the name of their shit, right? These are Black Lives Matter white male Europeans. Basically, that's what it is. And he shot them, and this is the outcome. Look, here's the outcome. Let's see it again. This is the outcome. He's going to tell you what happened from his perspective.
Mr. Rosenbaum was now running from my right side, and I was cornered from in front of me with Mr. Zeminski, and there were there were 3 people right there.
Take a deep breath, pal.
That's what I.
Yo, somebody in the chat said it had nothing to do with race. Exactly, it had nothing to do with race. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm showing it. It has everything to do with being fucking absurd. Who goes from one state where they safe at home in their bed, minding their business, to another state where they don't live and know anybody and bring a long weapon just because you heard these people were savages? Like, what the hell? You know, who does that? That's dumb. What? I don't do shit like that. What the fuck is this dude talking about, man? Let the people in the state handle the shit they doing for a change. But this is another case of, I can't stay in my state. Send the FBI, send the goddamn National Guard, send the motherfucking ICE, send them to another state. We gonna clean this state up. That's what this is. This is a case of that right here. You know, and his ass is out there crying and shit about it right now. People could have told him that this is not a good idea, but nobody did. They were like, you had the right to do that.
Mr. Rosenbaum was now running from my right side, and I was cornered from in front of me with Mr.
I mean, the whole thing is absurd. It's like, you know what I mean? He's innocent. He's defenseless. He has a long weapon, automatic long weapon. None of them have weapons. He's defenseless. Oh my God.
Zeminski, and there were
This is the MAGA world.
people right there.
MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. This is the tough MAGA. I'm going to clean this place up. I'm going to go to another state and clean up these dirty maggots. You know, these liberals, I'm going to clean them up. I'm going to clean the homos up. I'm going to clean up the stinking immigrants. I'm going to clean up the wetbacks.
Take a deep breath, pal.
Whatever. That's where I run.
We're gonna just take time for our break anyway. You can just relax for.
I should have been the prosecutor. Like, no. Let him finish. Let him finish, Your Honor. He's trying to say something, Your Honor.
Sir, we're gonna take a break.
Man, it's just disgusting. But in any case, that's how they cap in the U.S. You know, they be capping, boy. It's nothing you can do about it. They just cap. That's how it's going to be. But in any case, let's get to the rest of the news. Sunday news. They're going to talk about Cuba. I found some irony in some of the things the guy that was advocating for this whole crackdown on Cuba. I thought it was so ironic how they described the Cubans. It was like, God damn, you know what I'm saying? It was really crazy. But let's go. Let's see here. Oh, by the way, how many of you all, you don't like me laughing at Kyle Rittenhouse? You don't like that? You don't like that? Okay, let me see. Everybody, what state do you live in and who is your health care provider? Okay, go ahead, add it. He didn't live in the town they were protesting in. You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. That's a lie. In any case, it's not that we expect honesty from maggots, you know, and trolls. So put the state you live in and the health care. All right, let's see how it does. Let's have real conversation. State and healthcare. What's it looking like? I don't do medical. Yeah, because, you know, exactly. Because you're a troll, right? Trolls don't need medical. They don't need. There you go. Okay, there you go, Don Romero. Blue Cross. Okay, the honest one. There you go, Skull Crusher. There you go. You see? Now, this is so funny, man. This is so funny. Look, I'm a rage baiter. K2M, you don't even have a name. Goddamn, why anybody need to take you seriously? If you don't live in a state and have health care, then you're a troll. So come on, let us know. Let us know what to stand behind. That's all. I just want to figure out who really stands on business. There you go. Oh, Holger. Thumbs up to you, Holger. I got you. I understand. I'm keeping out of this discussion. I think the gun laws in here. Man, they going to advocate. This dumb motherfucker is up there crying in court like he's the victim. His dumb ass went from a state he doesn't live in, a protest going on that's specific to that state, which he has no fucking business in, because he lives somewhere else. He takes a long gun to another state and becomes the fucking victim of 3 people with no weapon, having committed a crime. Come on, this is bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, be a man. Learn how to solve problems with your hands, bitch. Like goddamn Kyle Rittenhouse, be a fucking man. Look people in the eyes. Stand on business. You know what I'm saying? You can talk to people if you come real. If you come real, you can talk to people. And I know I've been everywhere. I stop people and I'll be in the strangest places and stop anybody on the street and ask them for whatever I need. Excuse me, can you give me directions to this place? Yeah, nah. I don't give a fuck. People look at me, size me up and say, okay, over here, go down this way, over there, la la. There it is. There it is. I'm not going looking for trouble. I'm not going expecting trouble. Expecting trouble from people is insulting them. If you expect trouble, why are you there? Why did you go there? Why go to a place you don't like? Why go to a place that you don't even live and you actually expect trouble? That doesn't make any sense. See, I think that's really the problem. That's really the problem right there. You know, that's really this mother. No, he didn't have the protester didn't have a gun. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. Nobody was armed. They didn't approach him with a gun. Let me see here. Did any of the people Kyle killed or murdered have a gun? You know, these trolls just like to get. Maybe one did. Let's ask. Let's see. Did he have a gun? One of them had a gun. Okay, let's see here. Greg Cruz survived, had a handgun. He admitted in court that he was holding a pistol. He was shot in the arm after pointing the gun towards Rittenhouse. Okay, so what about the other 2? What did the other 2 have? Were they armed? Why were you there in the first place? So you went there knowing that somebody would have a gun. You don't live there. You expected trouble, and that's where you went. I mean, that's not exactly stand your ground, you know? So, it says he had a gun. It says one of them had a gun, was holding a pistol. I mean, no, look at this. Somebody say you look stupid. No, I don't look stupid at all. Because why do you need to go somewhere with a gun? Why do you need to go to another town expecting trouble? A town that you expect trouble in. Why are you going in the first place? You see, that's disingenuous. If it's actually to protect yourself and someone is coming to your town, that's a different thing. Going to someone else's town expecting trouble, that's dumb. You see what I'm saying? Now, if you just want to kill people because you disagree with their political stance, then I can understand why you would go to their town when they have a demonstration with a gun. But keep in mind, Trump, what did Trump say the other day? What did he say? Kyle was driven by his mom and had an illegal gun. Yeah, let me see about that. You know, for me, I'm way ahead of Kyle. I just don't go places that I think are trouble. That's what I don't do. So, you know, I'm not worried. And I'm also not worried about, I don't think I know everything about everybody else's town. So the United States is a big place. The world is a big place. So to kind of go to a place thinking you know more than the people that are from there is pretty arrogant. That's pretty arrogant. You see what I'm saying? Like, so arrogance in a gun pretty much means you're going to shoot somebody anyway. You see what I mean? So why go to a place? I never understood why he went there, but let's see here. Let's go back. And the difference between a lot of you maggots and myself is I can admit if I'm wrong about something. Is that an issue? You got a problem with that? Or you prefer people that don't admit it? You see? Which one? Look at this. I bet you none of these people, none of them have health care. None of them live in a state. None of them have health care. You see that? You see that? It's like, how many actually answered the question? Right. You see? They into politics, but they're not into the politics of having health care. I got you. So, in any case, let me ask this one question. Was Kyle Rittenhouse's gun legal? Let's find out. I don't even know. I mean, but I don't look at the gun laws that way myself. Here we go. They said it was legal. You know, from my understanding, the Second Amendment is the Second Amendment, right? So for me, I don't really care what the state law is. For me, myself, I pretty much believe in possessing a weapon. You know, when I want to, I will possess a weapon. You see what I mean? But yeah, simple and plain. You know, I don't, all that registering and all of that stuff, I think is kind of like a violation. You know what I'm saying? That's my personal view. But actually, most of the time, if I'm in my home, in my town, and I'm handling my own business, like if I have work to do, then I won't hesitate to have a weapon. And whether it's registered or not, I don't really care. You see what I'm saying? Like, because I know protecting myself, I have the right to protect myself with a weapon. You see what I mean? But when I'm handling business, me handling business is not going to a demonstration, disagreeing with other people that have the right to demonstrate. That's not my business. You know, I'm talking about business where you're doing exchange of money, you know, livelihood. Kyle Rittenhouse was not handling his livelihood. You see what I'm saying? So that's different. You see? Look, somebody said Renee, Good, and Alex. Well, I mean, you know, you can think about it however you. Now, let me ask you this. How many of you have health care? Put a 1 in the chat if you have health care. Starbound, War Baby, Asheru Russell. Oh, let's talk CBA. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah. Do you have health care? Yeah, just put it a 1 in the chat if you have health care. Don't worry. Okay, Walter White. Who's your health care provider? Walter White. What state do you live in? Who's your health care provider? I see real people in the chat saying things like it's sick care. Yeah, yo, everybody in the U.S. doesn't have health care. Everyone in the U.S. does. Let me see something. Let me do something right real quick. Let's see here. What state was Kyle Rittenhouse from? I mean, he went to a demonstration in another state. So those people were demonstrating about something going on in their state. Kyle Rittenhouse lives in another state. Why is that his business? You know, okay, so look, he lived in Anatochi near the Wisconsin border. Okay, so look, check this out. Have people's health care prices been affected by the big, beautiful bill? I'm curious. I don't know the answer. You all tell me, have the health care prices been affected? I mean, a lot of you know a lot more than me because you're living in that circumstance, right? I don't live in the U.S., although I'm an American citizen, so I wouldn't know. But let's see here. Let's see how it turned out for Kyle, right? For his community where he lives. Let's see how it turned out. He shot 3 people in another state. Let's see how people are doing in his state. Okay. Did healthcare prices go up because of the big, beautiful bill? Evidence of rising premiums and costs. Experts say most Affordable Care Act, ACA, marketplace consumers could face higher premiums, partly due to the legal policy changes affecting subsidies and eligibility. Premiums could rise around 4.5% on average, and out-of-pocket caps could increase by more than 15% compared with 2025. Is that good? Was that an improvement for healthcare in the state that Kyle lives? Oh, Leon, Easy, V. Yeah, I don't think they listen, man. Some of these people are just in a hyper, just in a frenzy and shit. They're not even listening. You know what I'm saying? And I also said that, it's like I didn't actually know if he had a gun. That's why I looked it up. But if you prefer that someone doesn't admit when they're wrong, if you prefer that, let me know. Because I can do that also. But if you, I don't get it. Everybody's wrong sometimes. You can't be 99% right without being 1% wrong. So what's the deal? And guess what? You're here enjoying the conversation. That's why you came. It's something about you that likes me. It's something about you that got something to prove. Literally, that's why you're here. You see what I'm saying? Well, I tell you what, Kyle is paying more. If he lives in that town, he's paying more, and his family's paying more for their health care right now. So good luck with that. You know, if that, I mean, that's what he advocated for. That's what he advocated for. You know, he advocated for higher prices, and that's exactly what he's getting. You see what I'm saying? You know, he went to it. Now, he could have had a different situation, but he wasn't focused on healthcare at that time. He wasn't advocating in his state. He wasn't demonstrating for cheaper healthcare. He wasn't marching or organizing anything in his state where he was from to advocate for prices to go down and healthcare to go down. No, he found like racial injustice in another state his problem, and he wanted to say no, or other injustices, not just discrimination in general. I think that's Black Lives Matter, what they about, general discrimination. He didn't like that. So he was an anti-demonstrator, like an anti-issue demonstrator. He wasn't a pro-issue demonstrator. He didn't have something pro to actually advocate for, you know, because usually when you do, you go out there and you do it. You work on that in your own state, right? Yeah, exactly. So let's continue. I hope you guys are enjoying the open chat right now. You know, thank me for that, for being willing to have it open so I can read and observe some of these, you know, concepts. Hey, Anakin, what's up? I'm just observing the maggots, seeing where they, you know, maggots are perfect now. Don't get me wrong. Maggots make no mistakes. They don't make any mistakes at all. You know what I'm saying? Maggots don't. They don't make any goddamn mistakes. It's crazy, you know? And, you know, even this right here, this is amazing right here. Just listening to this, and you would ask Kyle Rittenhouse, did you make a mistake? He would be like, nope, I'd do it again.
I look over my shoulder, and Mr. Rosenbaum was now running from my right side.
Now, this guy, he went from one state to another state to bring his long arm, and he shot 3 people. He didn't like what the people in the other state were demonstrating for. So he said, hey, fuck it. It's not my state, but I'm going to go there and interfere in their business, right, with the people that live there. So he took his long arm, but he could have been advocating for healthcare, cheaper healthcare prices and things like that in his own state. But he found this more interesting.
And I was cornered from in front of me with Mr. Zeminski. And there were
this is so pathetic.
There were 3 people right there.
Take a deep breath, Kyle.
That's what I.
Does this mean he regrets it? Okay, listen. Put a 1 in the chat if this means he regrets it. Put a 2 in the chat if this means he doesn't. I'm curious. Does he regret this, all this crying and shit? What the? Does that mean? Listen, if he's really crying, does it mean he regrets it? Or does it mean he doesn't regret it? Which one is it? I'm confused. You know what I'm saying? He's a hero for MAGA, man. That guy was actually a hero for MAGA, straight up. You know? Put a 1 in the chat if he regrets it. If this crying means that he regrets it. Put a 2 in the chat. Fuck it. It doesn't even matter anymore. This is some bullshit. In any case, long story short, everybody in his town pays more for healthcare now. Okay. He had to go kill 3 people in another state that were advocating for issues in their own state. And the long story short, now he pay more healthcare, higher prices for healthcare and everything else. There it is. You know what I'm saying? Would he do it again? Not him, probably no, but we'll find another dumb motherfucker that will. So, you know, This is somebody said, listen to this, Neil, Dennis. Somebody said, hey V, where you live? What shithole you in? That's so funny, man. That's so funny. In any case, man, yeah. What shithole you in? Where you live? What state you live in? Let's do some data on your state. How you living, baby? How you living, Skull Crusher? Here, let me just let his comment ride. Skull Crusher, where you live, man? Where you live, Skull Crusher? Let everybody know. Okay. Do you live in Kyle Rittenhouse state? Because they paying more for healthcare right about now. You know, I wonder if he gonna make ends meet. I wonder. Who knows? I don't know. Oh, you bragging? You in Texas, huh? You calling somebody else a shithole? Huh? I got you. No problem. Keep that ego up. You just keep it up. Don't worry about that, Skull Crusher. Don't worry about that, man. You know, sooner or later, you're going to be like Kyle Rittenhouse out there, though. Trump promised me, he said if I came out and I voted for him again, healthcare prices would go down. And instead, my mama's getting kicked out of her house. Ah! And he's buying the bank is about to own my house. Ah! Oh, well, that's what you voted for. Alrighty. So, let's get to the regular Sunday news now. We had enough laughs. Click like if you're having a good time. Oh, my God.
Welcome to Meet the Press Now. I'm Kristen Welker in Washington.
Meet the Press. This is the state of the U.S. The state of the U.S. happening right now.
Where we're following breaking news out of the White House tied to two major stories. The intensifying fallout over its immigration crackdown as the Justice Department announces it's launched a civil rights investigation into the killing of Alex Preddy by federal officers.
Okay, I got one for you, maggots. Should there be a civil rights investigation for the murder of Alex Preddy? Should there? Put a 1 in the chat if there should be. Only the maggots, y'all. Only the maggots. Put a 1 in the chat, maggot, if you think there should be. Put a 2 in the chat, maggots, if you don't. 1 or 2. Let's go. Should there be? I know you can't resist this one. This is like, red meat for y'all. Should there be a civil rights investigation? Civil rights. Should civil rights matter here? I know you do. See, they don't like it. They don't want to answer that question. Civil rights. Can you avoid? Doesn't that just ring bad in your ear, maggot? Civil rights. Doesn't it? Doesn't it just ring bad? Trump. Why is he doing it? Why is Trump doing it, man? Why is Trump doing a civil rights investigation, man? Why, it's crazy, man.
Anti-ICE demonstrations continuing and the federal government preparing for a temporary partial shutdown over ICE funding. We will get to those developments in just a moment.
You mean the government still ain't get funded? Wait a second. It's February 1st. I almost forgot about that. You mean there's some people that's about to not get paid in the happiest country on earth? The happiest country on earth, USA.
Moment. But we do want to begin with the...
Now, when you start complaining, I'm going to remind you, that doesn't sound happy.
Justice Department's massive and extraordinary release of files tied to Jeffrey Epstein.
You can't complain in the number one country on earth. You can't complain in the happiest country on earth. Go Trump! Yay!
DOJ publishing more than 3 million additional pages of records today, including more than 2,000 videos and 180 images.
Well, we heard
Deputy
this.
Attorney General Todd Blanche noting...
Well, we know Todd Blanche went up there and talked shit. Let's just get to the blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Todd Blanche, nothing new. Come on, Todd. Just get it over with, man. Most unsincere motherfucker on earth. Here we go.
The White House has said that the president, after maybe taking a little bit of a journey on the prospect of it, eventually did come around to wanting to push for full transparency. He ultimately signed.
Yeah, we heard about that.
Call unsubstantiated, complete false claims that are not true about President Trump, and they want to spell that out pretty clearly and push back on.
So, maggots, while I got your attention, are those false claims, are all those claims about Trump that got released in the Epstein files, are they all false claims? Put a 1 in the chat if they're all false claims. Put a 2 in the chat if some of those at least are real. 1 in the chat if they're all false claims. 2 in the chat if they're real. That's if you want to stay in the chat. Okay? 1 in the chat if they're all false claims. 2 in the chat if at least some of them are real. That's all I need to see right now. I don't need to see your explanation, goddammit. You ain't that special. You think I read all that shit? What the fuck? Follow the rules, goddammit, or I'm gonna put your ass in timeout. What the fuck, man? You know what I'm saying? Let's see here. What's going on? Okay, hold on. I see someone is on a suicide mission, a chat suicide. So let me just put them out until tomorrow. Don't worry. There you go. Yeah. Oh, you call me a fucking loser? Thank you. Anyway, so does that mean you're happy? Are you happy when you say that, or are you sad? Anyway, let's go on, man. I mean, I might be ignorant, but I got a job and I got health care.
And that's why they are also elevating an interview that the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, did with Fox News earlier today, in which he conveyed a message that is similar, which is that throughout all of this, according to the
I might be a clown, but I got a job and I got health care.
White House and according to the Department of Justice, they couldn't.
Do you? What's your job? What state do you live in? Who's your healthcare provider? Let us know, Bruce.
Find any evidence of any crimes that were committed by Donald Trump, who of course has denied any wrongdoing in any of his.
Bryce, let us know what state you live in and who your healthcare provider is. Thank you. We want to know how good you got it, baby.
With Jeffrey Epstein. Kristen.
Well, it was notable, Monica, our Kelly O'Donnell asked Todd Blanche about any potential coordination between the White House and DOJ on this. He said there absolutely wasn't any. What are you hearing about that? Are you hearing the same defiance there at the White House?
Yeah, and it was a great question because we know that there.
Yeah, Skull Hoga, Skull, indeed. Yeah. Post, you're in Germany. You're in Germany, right? Post, yeah. I'll cheers to the healthcare over here too, any day of the week. Thank you.
There have certainly been many internal conversations and discussions at the White House about how to handle the Epstein files. Remember, it was months ago that Attorney General Pam Bondi stood not far from where I am right now and said that she had the client list sitting on her desk. Subsequently, the White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, said there was no client list and that she believed that the AG totally whiffed the initial rollout of the Epstein files. So there was a lot of conversation within this White House and with the Department of Justice about some of those things. But in terms of pushing for the eventual and actual release, this is a White House that does know from a political perspective, Kristen, that they were going to have to eventually answer to some of the most ardent in their base, some of the most diehard MAGA fans who had really been clamoring for more information and to see this eventual release. And so I think today they are going to continue to point to that transparency picture. But yes, there had been certainly conversations overall about the messaging and what to do on the Epstein file strategy, even though there wasn't necessarily coordination on the exact review of these documents as the Deputy Attorney General.
Yeah, in other words, excuses, right? But don't worry about that because that's not even what I wanted to hear. Let's go further. I wanted to hear something else.
Facially false information that is included within this larger batch of documents.
All right, yeah, they crying about all the information that's out there. Long story short, right? Let me just hear what Rokana said here.
Came out that the president eventually came around to. He said in a lengthy statement, again, raising the question about 6 million pages versus 3.5. He's saying that he is looking for those FBI interviews with Epstein survivors, the victims. He's also looking for the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein back in 2007, the police reports, records from Epstein's computers. Khanna says failing to release these files only shields the powerful individuals who are involved and hurts the public's trust in our institutions. Leader Schumer, as I mentioned, spoke about this on the floor at length, saying that it has been 42 days. Remember, this is key here, since that December 19th deadline set by the law. So as you heard in my exchange with Senator Tillis, what can Congress really do if the DOJ did break the law here? At this point, it seems like they don't know. But remember, contempt of Congress is still on the table. That is what Khanna and Thomas Massie said they would do if all of these files were not released.
Okay, so we know that those files aren't going to really come out anytime soon. But hold on, let's kick it here. Let's get right here. Let's see what the criticism is
defiant throughout the course of the entire press conference. I guess the question looming over all of this, Misty, is where will this lead? Could there potentially be more charges, more investigations? How do you see what has been released so far, understanding these are 3 million pages? We're all still working our way through them.
Yeah, we certainly are still working through them. So Todd Blanche today said, as he had said back in the summer, that there was not any information that would lead to new charges in these documents. Of course, that led to the Epstein Transparency Act because it didn't comport with what we knew about Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking operations. It
now,
seemed that
maggots are here, so let's all benefit from their participation, right? Do you all think that the Epstein files should be released? Do you think that there's any Democrats in the files? Would you like them to hurry up and speed it up so we can see who the Democrats are we can prosecute? Are there Democrats in the Epstein files? Put a 1 in the chat that have committed crimes that haven't been revealed yet. Yeah, let's see how many. Put a 1 in the chat if you think there's Democrats in the Epstein files that have committed crimes and need to be outed. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't think that's the case. I mean, I'm a Democrat, and I even think there's some Democrats in there. What the fuck? But I'm curious about what the maggots think, particularly on this one. But everybody can chime in on that. It doesn't matter. Let me see. Thanks, Dennis. Yeah, worked it. Okay. Yeah. Including Donald Trump. Okay. Well, I'm just talking about Dems. You know, do you think there's Dems in there? You know what I'm saying? That need to be outed. So put a 1 in the chat if you think there's Dems that need to be outed in the Epstein files. Yeah, true. Pedophilia doesn't care, but I'm asking a political question from I'm really want to know what the maggots think, but I'm letting everybody chime in on this because I got a follow-up question. You see what I mean? So, you know, but you're right though. It shouldn't matter. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm a Democrat. I think it should be outed. I say release it all. I don't understand why they're not releasing it. Now, let me ask you a question. Why are they not releasing it? Why is Trump not just saying release it, hurry up? Why is Trump not on their ass saying, come on, we spending money on ICE, we spending money on all types of things, we spending money on war, hurry the fuck up. Do you need more money to do this? Do we need more manpower? What's the problem? How come Trump is not on their ass about this? I mean, that's all I'm trying to figure out. And what date is it going to be? And what is the date? Is the date going to be somehow after 2026 November? Is it going to be after the midterm elections? Is that what this is all about? Because that would make it political. You see what I'm saying? Somebody said, what a loser maggot you. And then someone else said, Trump don't give a fuck. Yeah, I agree with that one. He gives a fuck about one thing, his own ass, you know. All right. So, yeah, somehow I still see some hypocrisy on the maggots from the maggot side here. I don't see you guys like Dems. Dems can easily say, man, fuck the Dem. Let them out. I don't give a fuck. Let me see. I want to see Hillary drinking the blood. I want the tape. I want to know who did it too. I want to know everything. Just let it out. And then secondly, why do you give a fuck about these people anyway? What the fuck? What the fuck? You care about these people more than you care about your own health care, man. Let them out. Out them. God damn. Like, what the hell? I'm going to tell you one thing for sure. The people in the Epstein files do not do too well at advocating for the middle class in America. I tell you that much. The people in them files, they don't do too well at advocating for the middle class in America. So I'm not capping for none of them. Yeah. You know, you can protect them if you want. If that's good enough for you, okay, you do that. You do that if you want. Now, Don Lemon, his ass is out of jail. But I'm going to wait on that because I think it was a lot of bullshit earlier when I was talking about Don Lemon. So let me flip over now. Let's go to the other story. Cuba. Let's hear what they got to say here. Cuba and then Kyle. I think these are some interesting points here. Let's get past Don now because we already know what the deal with that is. people going to start, caring about his sex. People going to get sexual with Don Lemon. They're not going to stick to the First Amendment conversation that the church and the journalists have. They're going to start getting sexual about Don Lemon and shit. And I done had enough of that. I don't want the maggots getting sexual and shit. It's like, come on. And Lord knows anything might happen. You might have to hide your kids around these motherfuckers. But in any case, let's see here. He moves on to talk about, God, here we go, y'all. Here we go. Luigi. Let's go. 2 of the 4 counts dismissed. Amen.
As if they wanted me to run out. Medical concerns. Pediatrician examined little 5-year-old.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to go back to that, to the 5-year-old. There's an update on that, too.
Deciding that the accused CEO killer will not face the death penalty. NBC's Laura Jarrett has those details.
Tonight, the death penalty now off the table for Luigi Mangione.
We're all very relieved.
A judge in Manhattan today dismissing 2 of the 4 counts against the 27-year-old who's pled not guilty to stalking and killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in 2024. The judge acknowledging that this is violent criminal conduct under any common sense understanding, but ultimately finding prosecutors' legal arguments for why the death penalty should apply unfounded under federal law. Today's decision a major blow to the Justice Department, as the Attorney General has invoked Mangione's case in a push to revive the death penalty under President Trump.
If there was ever a death case, this is one.
At the same time, the judge handing prosecutors a major win, refusing to toss out key evidence authorities discovered in Mangione's backpack when he was arrested, including a gun, silencer, and a notebook with his writings.
I think this is a good study piece right here to see what maggots think about gun law, right? Because how it works. Once precedents are set and things like that, it's rare that they get changed in court because of the arguments that are made. They get put on the record, and then another person can say, well, Your Honor, in this court case, in this last case you held, you said this about this and la, la, la. They can bring it up in their own defense. They can invoke the same defense. So let's see again.
His defense had argued none of that evidence should be allowed at trial since authorities failed to get a warrant before searching the bag at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania.
Now, do you agree with that? You see what happened there? His attorney argued that they shouldn't even be able to use the gun because they didn't have a warrant to search his bag. But the judge said, no, actually, I'll allow it this time. Right? Do you agree with that? Is that okay or is that not good? I'm curious about that, what people think. Let's see here. Somebody wrote Nutlick brought his teenagers in another couple with the... Yo, we're going to get to that. Don't worry, y'all. Let's stick. Oh, damn. Yeah. Okay. Illegal. Exactly. An illegal search is an illegal search. I mean, I'm just curious what people think. The judge in this case said they will allow it. They will admit the gun, but they didn't have a warrant. So what this means now is that in another murder case, right? In another case of murder, someone can argue that it should be allowed. You see what I mean? Searching. So it's kind of like get a damn warrant. I mean, to me, it sounds like they bending the law because there's other ways. The man is on tape anyway. God damn, isn't he on tape? Isn't it a video? Isn't there a video? I mean, yeah. In any case, let me let that play again. Let's go.
Major win.
I mean, personally, I think the man made his point. I'm gonna be honest. I think he made his point. His point already was healthcare doesn't fucking work in the United States and America. And God damn it, I'll be damned if you're gonna fucking charge me a penny. And then when I need help, you're gonna say, oh, well, too bad. I think that's what this was all about.
Using to toss out key evidence authorities discovered in Mangione's backpack when he was arrested, including a gun, silencer, and a notebook with his writings. His defense had argued none of that evidence should be allowed at trial, since authorities failed to get a warrant before searching the bag at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania. But the judge disagreed, concluding police were justified in conducting that search.
We look forward to fighting this case.
This as the case inches closer to trial, with support for Mangione still pouring in.
Yeah, Anakin, I hear you. That's the argument that the judge is making, basically. He was in the process of being arrested, so they have the right to search. They already suspected that it was him. Essentially, that this was the person they were looking for. And so, yeah. So I mean, I think his attorneys are doing a great job, by the way, arguing this, right? This one, they didn't win that point. But I mean, I don't know. Now, you all tell me, is he trying to prove a point? Is he trying to prove a point? You know, is he trying to just prove that, listen, the healthcare system in the U.S. is fraudulent? It's for fraud. You know, is that what he's trying to prove? Or is it because, listen, the man, it appears that the man was pissed off about something and, you know, did want to kill them. I mean, to me, this just looks like a court case. It doesn't really look like he did too much to, you know, not kill the person. You know, I mean, it's kind of like saying he's innocent until proven guilty, but everybody knows he's guilty, but he's going to go through the court case because that's the legal system for you. So he's innocent still, and he gets to play this out and have a defense and all of this stuff. But to me, it just looks like the man is trying to make a point. You know what I'm saying? And I think the point was he was pissed off about healthcare. That's what it looks like to me. But let me get some more about that. Let me know your thoughts on that.
As he's racked up $1.4 million in donations for his legal defense fund. And a bizarre episode this
Let me find that out, Huey. I see your message. Let me find that out.
Week, when authorities say a Minnesota man tried to spring Mangione from jail, posing as an FBI agent. That man, now behind bars himself, housed at the very same detention center as Mangione.
Laura Jarrett joins us now live in studio. So, Laura, going back to that first point in the story, the big headline here, why aren't they getting the death penalty?
So the judge explained in his decision, part of the issue is the legal hook that prosecutors were using in order to make him death eligible. It wasn't just a murder charge. It was murder during and in relation to a different federal crime. What was that federal crime? A list, according to prosecutors, it was stalking. And stalking did not count as enough death eligible, at least according to this judge. Now, they can appeal this, Tom. The story may not be over here, but if they do, it would delay the trial date, something DOJ may not want to do.
Okay, Laura Jarrett breaking it down for us. Laura, we thank you for that. Still ahead on top story, the powerful nor'easter moving in right now. Bill Cairns is trapped.
Okay, let me see here. What it says is, okay, in the documented case of the healthcare CEO being shot, investigators do have a suspected motive, but it's ideological and political rather than personal revenge. What happened? The case most people are referring to is the killing of the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in New York in 2024. The suspect is Luigi Mangione. Suspected motive based on police and court filings says authorities says Mangione appears to have been driven by hostility towards the U.S. health insurance industry, wealthy corporate executives. He allegedly wrote notes and a manifesto expressing hatred towards corporate America and the health. Let me pull this up on the screen. See, I don't want nobody, you know, don't get me wrong. I mean, most of the people that come through here pretty much trust what I'm saying here generally, but I also understand sometimes there's people that might want to question that. So let me just pull this up so you guys can see what I'm reading from, and you can see the references that they're making too. Like right now, they're pulling info from the Independent, right, and several different ones. So let's see here. Authorities say Mangione appears to have been driven by hostility towards the U.S. health insurance industry and wealthy corporation executives. He allegedly wrote notes and a manifesto expressing hatred towards corporate America and the health insurance system. See, I'm not such a bad host, maggots. You see, I started off talking about healthcare. I want to wrap this in. I mean, everything is everything. Everything is everything. Even Kyle Rittenhouse asked. He wasn't out there advocating for shit. He was just saying, man, these Black Lives Matter people, why they complaining over there in the other state? That's not the same as advocating for what you want in your own state, okay? He could have been advocating for fucking healthcare, and he was too goddamn dumb to do it. Instead, he fucking supported Trump, and his fucking healthcare went up. Go figure. But don't trust me. But in any case, what the fuck? And he had the nerve to be in court after all that dumb shit. They came and then, my God. In any case, he allegedly wrote notes to a manifesto expressing hatred towards corporate America and the health insurance system. That's from the Independent, y'all. Okay. Prosecutors say he viewed United Healthcare as a symbol of the industry and targeted it because of his size and power. Damn, that sounds pretty cool. He started from the top. Look, I mean, the man started from the top. He started from the top, yo. I mean, what can you blame him? It's not like he went down and shot somebody down there in the middle of an operation. You goddamn doctor, you didn't accept you nurse. No, he went up. He went all the way at the top. Hey, man, I got to respect that, bro. I got to respect it. You know what I'm saying? He didn't shoot the little guy. There it is. I mean, yeah. Hey, I may not agree. It's not, first of all, he did it anyway. He didn't give a fuck what I think. But, you know what I'm saying? But, yeah, I respect game. You know what I'm saying? Why should the little man be killing the little man? They call that, what my pops used to tell me is they used to call that don't beat the beater. Like, don't shoot across the aisle. Don't shoot at somebody on the same level or down. Shoot up. But in any case, bullet casings at the scene reportedly had the words deny, defend, and depose, referencing criticism that insurers delay or deny claims. Goddamn. Woo. Oh, damn. He had his shit together, apparently. All right. That was from Al Jazeera, by the way. Investors say he wanted to intimidate the industry and draw attention to what he saw as corporate greed. Did he bring attention to it? I think so. I agree 100%. Corporations are greedy and it's a sham. It's a fraud in the United States. Well, how can you pay for months and months and months and years and years and years for some shit? All of a sudden lose your job. Somebody gets sick in your family and they can't get health care. That's called fraud. Recent reports also say he left writings and evidence suggest, and this is happening in the happiest country on earth, by the way. Did you guys know that? It's happening in the happiest country on earth. See, even liberals complain sometimes. It's not only maggots. It's not only Kyle. They was in Black Lives Matter. It's not only Kyle complaining. Recent reporting also says he left writings and evidence suggesting ideological raid at the healthcare insurance system rather than a direct personal dispute. Well, if you got to have your rage, you may as well direct it properly. That's all I got to say. Shoot up, not across the aisle. Important reality check. There's no evidence that torture, videos, ritual killings, or oh, hold on. What the hell? What the fuck is going on here? What did this? Why did it give me that information? This just mixed up some information I didn't even ask for. But in any case, so there you have it, folks. Yeah, apparently they have a manifesto. So let's keep going. Oh, let me look at the chat real quick. Let me see what y'all talking about. Yeah, he had a manifesto. What you think about that? You know what I'm saying? It wasn't only Kyle Rittenhouse that's a complaining motherfucker and going to another state with fucking guns and and then coming back unsatisfied and unhappy. and then it's Democrats get angry sometimes too. They complain. You know what I'm saying? Democrats complain sometimes. In this case, I don't even know if he was a Democrat. As a matter of fact, let me ask that question. Was he a Democrat? Was he a Democrat? Damn, this would be... What if he voted for Trump? That would be amazing. Let's see here. Okay, he doesn't have a political party affiliation. He was a Democrat. Okay, he doesn't have credible source indicating he was a Democrat, Republican, or affiliated with any party. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, he's different. So how do you all feel about that? That he wasn't a liberal. Maybe he was a conservative. Maybe he doesn't like men wearing dresses going into the ladies' bathroom. Would that change how you feel about him? Would you support his cause then? Damn, that is so fucking funny. You know, because that's what you hear a lot of maggots talking about. Man, same-sex bathrooms? We don't want that shit. What if he was against same-sex bathrooms? Would you support him in killing the CEO over fraudulent healthcare? Would that change it? All right. In any case, man, he wasn't a Democrat. My bad. Let me know, how's the snow on the East Coast? Is it really fucked up right now? I got a couple of homeboys that said it was really bad. One of them was caught out there in traffic a little bit, messed up snow. Truck got stuck and shit. So it's bad in ice, obviously. So let's see here. Let's go on. I hope everybody's being safe during the weather.
We start with President Trump naming Kevin Warsh as his pick to chair the Fed Reserve. Warsh is a former Fed official who's becoming.
You know what? What's interesting is I find that there's not only Democrat and Republican. Like, it's not that straight. There's often cross issues, people that have cross issues. For example, there could be like gay men in the Republican Party that are, there's a lot of them, by the way, in the Republican Party that are against, that vote often against gay rights, you could say, if I'm saying it right. You know what I'm saying? There's often, how could I say this? There's often liberals, also that believe in gun rights, like wide open gun rights, further than, just as extreme as some Republicans. You see what I mean? So there's a lot of mismatch, and it's not all the same. That's why I'm asking that question. Like, if he shared your values in some ways, would you support him in other ways? Like, would you support his view? How do you feel about the healthcare? Do you think healthcare in the U.S. is good? Do you support him, Luigi, and what he did? Do you think it was justified? Do you think what he did was justified? Put a 1 in the chat if you think killing a CEO was justified to bring attention to the messed up healthcare system in the United States. I mean, I'm just curious. Like, do you think it was justified? I'm just curious. Should you be able to use a gun to solve that problem? Should you be able to use a weapon to solve that problem? Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Okay, if he didn't use a gun, would you support him? Do you agree with him that there's something messed up in the healthcare system in the United States? Let me ask you something, and I'm not talking about if the healthcare system is extremely fraudulent in the United States of America, put a 1 in the chat. If it's just, a little bad, put a 2 in the chat. If it's extremely fraudulent, put a 1 in the chat. If it's just a little bad, put a 2 in the chat. I'm just curious about that. Let me see who's in there. If you believe the healthcare system in the United States is extremely fraudulent, put a 1 in the chat. If you think it's just a little bit bad, got a few little problems, put a 2 in the chat. I'm just curious because I just want to know, like, you know, what people think about this. You know, there's often times where Republicans and Democrats agree on stuff, you know what I'm saying? Whether they do something about it, that's another thing. But yeah, I live in a country where the healthcare is better. I live in Denmark, so I ain't complaining. You know what I mean? But it's Americans that look, Republicans complain about the healthcare system. You know, Democrats complain about the healthcare system. Look, somebody said, if you want to make America great again, why the fuck did you leave? Why the F you in America? What the hell? Yeah. Damn, I'm going to let somebody else rewrite that comment. But in any case, I guess that means he's talking to somebody in the chat. Let me see here. If you think this guy wears women's panties and a hat, put an L. I mean, you know, like I said, maggot people are often sexualizing things, you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to tell you what, you ever try to put your hands on me, I'm going to bust you in your mouth really fast. And it's going to be faster than you think. So, ha 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 ha. You know, you can talk about it, but why don't you try being about it? That's a little bit more. You see what I'm saying? Now, again, back to something that's substantive. Put a 1 in the chat if you think that the healthcare system in the U.S. is extremely fraudulent. Put a 2 in the chat if you think it's just a little bit. That's all. And let's be real about it. I know it can be. See, I'm starting to think a lot of the maggot people think it's extremely fucked up, but for political reasons, they don't want to say it. That's what I'm starting to say. They want to talk about everything else in their brain they can imagine, which is some of the shit is freaky. But hey, you know, maggot is single-handedly making grind. That's what I'm saying. What the hell? They got some nerve, but their brain is like that, bro. I'm just saying, you come at me like that, I'm gonna bust you in your mouth, dude. Like straight up. Like I'm not gonna be playing no games about anything like that, man. Like I'm just letting you know, you can imagine whatever you want, but it is what it is. I see they don't want to talk about healthcare though. So since they don't want to talk about healthcare, let me put the chat in private. I got to get something out of this. I'm gonna put the chat in subscriber mode. So there you go. Boom. Now we're gonna take it to the, you know, see what's going on here. Now at least give me something out of this conversation. You can subscribe and get in the chat, because a lot of these people, they just want to talk shit, but they don't want it to be two-way benefit. They would just only want to benefit themselves. Me. You see that? You see these people, they didn't even bother they got all that shit talking to do. They want to be in the chat, but they don't want to subscribe. So they want to obstruct other people, but they don't want to subscribe. You see how corny these motherfuckers are? You see that? That's amazing. You see that? You see how pathetic that is? But yet they want people to take their comments real. Yo, come on now. Y'all got to stand on business. Do you really have something to say here? Like, do you really have a point in being here? Are you really concerned about the issues? Or are you just, maybe that is it. Maybe that's just Anyway, let's get on to the next topic. The next topic is Cuba, right? Now, I thought that there was some interesting things that actually was said to describe the regime in Cuba. And to me, it actually sounded a lot like goddamn Trump. It was very weird. Now listen to this. This is some weird shit right here. Check this out.
Surveillance footage shows the suspect pushing.
Hold on. I pulled it back too far. Here we go.
Now to the Americas and an update tonight on the escalating situation with Cuba. As we told you last night, President Trump threatening to impose tariffs on any nations that sell oil to Cuba, a country that tonight is already on the brink. The situation.
So Trump is threatening countries. He's not bringing health care to the United States, but he's threatening neighbor countries that buy oil from Cuba, right? So you heard it yourself.
Now to the Americas and an update tonight on the escalating situation with Cuba. As we told you last night, President Trump threatening to impose tariffs on any nations that sell oil to Cuba, a country that tonight is already on the brink. The situation on the ground there growing more dire by the day with rolling blackouts, gas shortages, outbreaks of mosquito-borne illnesses, and people living in extreme poverty. And many there fear it will only get worse. Cuba's foreign minister condemning the moves by the U.S., calling it a, quote, brutal act of aggression against Cuba and its people.
What's up, Eric?
But a maximum pressure campaign on Cuba is exactly what some lawmakers here in the U.S.
Yeah, we had a lot of maggots, but they didn't even think, oh, you know what I'm going to do? They just spent all their day in this goddamn chat, didn't even think to subscribe. Listen, y'all, it's okay. No matter what your opinions are, it's okay, but you have to engage the conversation. Otherwise, really, it's just a waste of everybody's time. So I'm not going to allow that to go on. You're going to have to contribute, and you're going to have to contribute like everybody in an equal way. You see what I'm saying? So you want to be a part of the chat? Please, if I ask you a question, respond to the question so we can learn more, right? So we can figure out what this, what's going on here. And also to qualify some of your other comments, I have to ask things about people. So that's why I ask about healthcare. And you can see most of the chat was in there. A lot of it was in there to obstruct the conversation about healthcare. You see what I mean? They didn't want to really talk about Luigi. The truth of the matter is that the United States has a fraudulent healthcare system. That's the truth of the matter. Everybody knows it, but these people didn't want to actually say it. These MAGA folks, they don't want to say it. And they need the fucking healthcare system to work just as much as anyone else, but they don't want to say it. That's not being genuine. That's not being genuine. It's not. Luigi, he was being genuine, more genuine than those MAGA supporters you saw there, because he actually went out and stood for what he's believed. Now, I'm not saying what he did was right. That's for him to judge and deal with, and that's everybody else, but at least he manned up. At least he manned up. At least he did something about it. He didn't like it. Hey, what's up? And if you don't like what he did, what the fuck are you going to do about it? That's the real conversation. Now, the dude had a manifesto, right? He wasn't a Democrat. He wasn't a Republican. So I guess that's another part that they don't like. Some people can only comment on things if it's Democrat or Republican. Well, this guy wasn't a Republican. Oh, I see. First time here, just left SOL. Okay. So yeah, you subscribed though. I appreciate it, man. Come on in, Stefan. Appreciate it. And we just talking about how a lot of people was just in the chat and ain't none of them subscribed, and now they but they got opinions about all kinds of shit, But in any case, I had to do that because I do have regular viewers and regular listeners, and I like to engage the chat. So, if they don't really respond back to some of the questions, then we can't. They're of no good to anybody else. The conversation really, they at least got to engage a little bit with the host. But in this case, the issue about healthcare in the U.S., I don't see how. Oh, Steve, I'm a Steve. Okay. Or Stefan. It says Stefan. You a Steve? I don't know what that means, man. What does that mean? You a Steve? Okay. Yeah. All right. I got you. But in any case, this thing about healthcare, I'm gonna ask you, Steve. Do you feel that the United States healthcare system is a fraudulent healthcare system? Put a 1 in the chat if you think it's a fraudulent healthcare system. Put a 2 in the chat if you think it's not really fraudulent. It just has a few little problems. I'm just curious about what you think, since you're a new listener, and obviously you're a subscriber now. So 1, okay, 1. Flyboy says it's 1. Yeah, Steve, let me know, man. I'm just curious about that. I don't see why that's a partisan issue myself. I think, like, if you pay, listen, this is the case in the United States of America, and I'm an American. I know what it's like because I grew up in the U.S. I'm born and raised and grew up in the U.S. I didn't move overseas until I was 30 years old. So I know, what it's like. I know what it is. How is it that you can pay for 10 years, pay for health care coverage, then suddenly lose your job, have a child that gets sick, or a family member that gets sick, but now your family health care doesn't apply anymore because you can't afford the monthly payments? What's up with that? How can that be acceptable by anybody's standard? How can that really be acceptable? I don't understand that, because think about all that money you paid in the whole time. You see what I mean? And then for them to just all of a sudden say, no, you don't qualify. Sorry, you didn't. You have to do this or you have to do that. I don't understand it. And I don't understand why so many Americans, because the average American is not rich by any means. Most are hardworking, blue collar, you know what I'm saying, middle class families across the board. So I don't understand why that's just not a clear message for every political party, for every politician, from every average citizen. I don't understand that part, you know. And I think either the legacy media, or in how they talk about these things, or also the politicians, how they talk about these things, they tend to make issues that are civil rights issues political issues or partisan issues, when really education and healthcare are definitely necessary things to have for everyone to be able to move forward and have a normal life. You know, in my view, I don't understand. Like, for me, myself, I'm just going to tell you how my life is, and then we're going to move on to Cuba. My life is like this. I wake up, I go to my job. If I happen to fall, if I happen to get sick, it's basically, I don't have to worry about that. You see what I mean? Not that I fall or I get sick often, because I don't. I think I got COVID once, really. I got COVID once. And then what else was it? I think that was pretty much it. Right? And yeah. And so I just didn't have to go to work, but it's covered. You know what I'm saying? And of course, I got paid a little bit less than I would if I was at work, but everything else was covered. You know, I could still get by, right? And I think that was a few weeks, something like that, 3 weeks, right? And then I went back to work. But if I happen to need an operation or happen to do it, all of that's paid within the tax system, right? And I try to tell Americans all the time, like, the taxes that I pay are only slightly higher. It's like 6% more than what I would pay if I lived in New York, if I lived in Chicago, if I lived in DC, if I lived in, California. It's only 6% more, except I don't pay any deductibles. I don't pay any cash out of my pocket for that 6%. It's all taken care of. All. Doctor visit, hospital fees, all. You see what I'm saying? Also, that 6% doesn't just cover my health care. That 6% covers my kids' education. It covers my education. That 6% also covers other issues, like if I happen to lose my job and then I have to go on unemployment for a little bit, and so my income goes down, well, then my housing insurance, it kicks in, and that will supplement a little bit of my losses for a certain amount of time. So that 6% covers a lot. And you know what it does for me? It helps me not be stressed the fuck out whenever there's a problem. It helps me sit back, calmly resolve my issues, and get back to work. That's what it does. And I'm trying to figure out why that's such a hard thing for a lot of Americans that I engage online to understand. Like, why is that so difficult to understand? Why is it? Because that 6% that I pay more in taxes covers way more than what I would get in the U.S. if I did it, if you, without paying that 6%. Like, that 6% pays way more. Like, what you get for that 6% is way more than what you would get in the U.S. if you paid out of your pocket way more dollars. You know what I mean? In other words, it's cheaper to pay that 6% up front than it is on the back end, and than it would be in the U.S. So that's why, when I think about it, it's like Americans are literally paying more money for service. That's what it comes down to. Operation costs more in the U.S. because of the administration fees. Every single service costs more because of administrative fees. When you look at the cost in Europe, it's actually costing less because there's not that many administrative fees attached to it. It's, what do they call it? Collective bargaining. You see what I mean? And this privatized stuff, they just found a way to just, jack up the prices, and it's it becomes more complicated and people end up paying more. They don't know what they're going to pay. They're paying upfront in taxes. 20% of the federal budget of the taxes you pay, federal taxes, 20% of the federal taxes you pay, income taxes, that goes to Medicaid and Medicare also. And then you pay out of your pocket. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? To me, it doesn't make sense. Per capita, Eric says, per capita, Americans pay the highest taxes in the world. They do, and they don't even realize it, man. They don't realize it. And trying to have a conversation about it sometimes, you could see when we had the chat open, you saw, most of them are probably trolls, by the way, that aren't really Americans. But a good percentage of them are Americans. And a lot of times they tend to, instead of look in the mirror, they tend to laugh it up. They tend to act like it's not a big deal. And I'm like, why is 20% of your the federal income taxes that you pay not a big fucking deal? Because even if you can't afford health care after that, you're still paying that 20%. What sense does that make? What sense does it make? It just doesn't make any sense. And it's highway robbery. It's highway robbery happening like it's normal or something. And yeah, but in any case, y'all, let's get on to Cuba. I thought the description was, let me see something. Howard. Okay. Yeah. Now that I got in the subscriber mode, we're going to get some real conversation here, obviously. So let's see here. I turned 65 this year and can't find a doctor accepting new Medicare patients. Yo, how to live with a smile. I'm really sorry to hear that. You know what I'm saying? I'm really sorry to hear that. And that's why I'm out here talking, because it's like, this is bullshit. This is ridiculousness. And you're still paying. I don't know if are you still working, Howard? I mean, how to? I'm sorry, I said Howard. How to? Are you still working? How to live with a smile? You still working or what? I'm just curious about that, because a lot of people still have to still work at 65 in the U.S. Yeah, you feel great. Yeah, well, there's some people that still are doing well. You know what I'm saying? You know. But are you still working? Yeah. So that means even though you can't find a doctor, 20% of your federal income taxes is actually going to the Medicare system anyway. That's crazy. That's crazy. You're actually paying for somebody else's health care, bro. Or sister. Either one. It's crazy. I will never understand that. And that should just be a no across the board. Republican, Democrat, Independent. That should be a universal no for all senators and all congressional members. I don't know why they turn that into politics. Let me see. Steve said, I'm a 73-year-old, well-armed liberal Democrat veteran. There you go. Hey, and you know what? Actually, I was trying to explain that. There's a lot of Democrats that believe in gun ownership. You know what I'm saying? Like, but for some reason, I think they make it sound like that. The politicians make it sound a little different, or I don't get it. You know, it's something not right. You doing? Has your health care gone up? Do you mind me asking, Steve? Did your health care go up yet because of this Trump thing? The big beautiful bill. Let me see here. Now they really do up 64 just for food stamps. Now up 6, man. You know, it's crazy because also that's another thing. Food stamps, like where I live in Denmark, I don't believe they have food stamps. I think Dennis could tell me more about that, but I don't think the system is run. Public assistance, if you need assistance, it's not something like a food stamp, or it's not something like you have a card that everybody sees that you get help. Here it just gets put directly into your bank account, the cash, and you spend it like everything else, right? Like all your other money. So they don't really believe in that system of like, you need help, everybody should know you're different from this person. They don't do it like that. It's okay. You said how to live. I pay self-employment tax. Okay, I see what you're saying. So you getting around that federal taxes? Is that what you're saying? I don't know what that means, but let's see here. Jasmine Crockett for the Senate and governor. Yeah, indeed. I like her. I'm 73 years old. I'm retired, dude. Okay, so but did your health care go up? That's what I'm wondering. Did it go up because of the big beautiful bill or no? I'm just asking because I don't know. Let me see here. No food stamps, but you can lend money from your commune if you are. Yeah, exactly. They don't have this food stamp program over here. It's just if you need help, you get it. It goes to your account. You know, they don't. It's not like something where you have a card that says, "Haha, this is government money I'm using," or I'm. You know, it's none of that. Social Security is my only form of income. Okay, I see. Okay, Steve. Okay. So, damn, Social Security. Oh, but you must have worked a while and build up a lot of Social Security if that's the case. Yeah. Let me see here. It means I pay into Social Security automatically. Okay. Well, it's complex. I mean, I pay into Social Security too. I pay into pension. Yeah, all of that is in my taxes. I pay 39%. Tax or for something, maybe 40, something like that, maybe really 41 at this point, something like that. But I get some subsidies too at the same time. So what it really pans out to, I'm not exactly sure because it might go up and down depending on how much I work, how much I get paid, right? But I work. I have a full-time job. For people that want to know, I have a full-time job. I actually work in the health profession, right? And so I'm certified in some aspects of healthcare, right? And so but I pay in my taxes, the taxes that I pay 39-40%, something like 40% maybe. My part of my employer pays part of my retirement, and then part in taxes part is paid by me. That's deducted. That's part of that 40% that's taken out. So part of that goes to my retirement too. And then it goes to the healthcare system. It goes to the educational system for everybody. So if everybody wants to go to school or take another class, that's part of it. It goes to a lot of things. It goes to the commune, the roads, the upkeep of the roads. It goes to a lot. It goes to housing benefits for people that need it, right? Even if I need it, it goes to that, right? If I don't, it goes to somebody else. There's a lot you get here in Denmark. Of course, if you're working, you really get a lot out of it. I think if you're a middle class person, you get a lot in Denmark. Right now, there's a bit debate about if it's working out totally the way they expect it, because it changes. It could change every year. They make some new changes in the system. It can depend on, they keep an eye on the retired folks, how they're living. And they had a conversation about that lately. But right now you have a somewhat right wing. It's not extreme right wing, but it's like center right wing government that maybe is not on the total social side of things. But even in that, the norms are okay. And I can tell you this. If you're working, average people, you get more out of it. I mean, when you do the math here, I think after you pay all your expenses, if you have a job, after you pay all your expenses and all your taxes, I think you keep more of your money in your pocket than the average American. I'm pretty sure about that because I've been doing these numbers a lot and looking into it. And, so they tell you a story about the taxes are high. Like somebody wrote in my chat today, the average person paid 50%. Well, how much do they make? How much do they make? You know what I'm saying? And what do they get for that 50%? What is their lifestyle like? You might want to ask those questions too when you ask them how much because in Denmark, if you're paying 50%, I'm pretty sure your lifestyle is pretty well. And if, I'm pretty sure you getting paid pretty well. You know what I mean? So, let me see here. I have a program called HUD, Vast Community Care. Through the VA, I pay nothing. Okay, yeah, it's cats that's saying that a lot about the VA and stuff, But would you say the VA services are better now, or are they improving, or are they getting worse? Let me see here. Rafika Never is going to be 2029. Okay. All right. Well, we Americans pay for our vast military. Well, you pay for a socialized military. You pay for socialized military. You don't pay for socialized healthcare. You don't pay for socialized education. You choose that. You choose to pay for a socialized military. You don't advocate for socialized education. You don't advocate for socialized healthcare. You advocate for socialized military. So, it's about priorities. And if people don't believe they can have universal health care, they're not going to advocate for it. If people don't believe they can have universal education, you're not going to advocate for it. And I think that's really what I see happening. Like, a lot of people really believe they can't have it. And when it comes to discussing the issues, Americans get a lot of things wrong about the facts, about what lifestyle is like, what the lifestyle Europeans live versus Americans, what the benefits are based on what people vote for and advocate for versus what are the lack of benefits. And you heard this conversation about, some people try to frame it as Europe wouldn't have that if they didn't need our military. Come on, man. Nobody believes that shit. Nobody believes that. Come on now. You do your military for your own reasons. That's why you do it. You represent yourself first and the lifestyle you want to have. And that's why you do it. And you do it over and over and over and over and over. That's why you do it. If you don't do it, it doesn't have a lot to do. I don't see it, because when you invest in healthcare and you invest in education, those are industries. That money stays in the country. That money circulates in the country. That actually stabilizes your economy. It actually makes it less volatile. You see what I mean? The U.S. almost needs a damn war. You know what I'm saying? Because where else is the money? They're going to cut a check. They rather cut a check to the military than to education. They rather cut a check to military than healthcare. I mean, if you think about healthcare, that should be something they will really want to cut a check for, because that means the money's staying in the country, right? But the biggest problem I see in the healthcare is the fact that the corporate greed in it is the biggest problem, because that's how they can take the money out of the country. That's how they can take the money out of the economy, because instead of it circulating around services, it's circulating in the hands of administrators. You see what I mean? And administrators is not service. You see what I mean? Service is a person has a job to provide health care to another person. It's an act, it's an exchange. But the administrative fees, they're not really the same kind of fair exchange, So that's kind of how I see it. And it's the same thing with education. What's wrong with more teachers? What's wrong with more schools? What's wrong with more teachers and more schools? What's wrong with getting more kids in schools? What's wrong with making sure more people can afford school? What's wrong with that? The money stays in the country. What's wrong with that? I don't get it. I don't get it. So, people are making weapons over here. The EU making a lot of weapons, but you don't see them changing their values. So I would tell people, look into the economics of universal health care. Look into the economics of education and see how that really pans out before you judge it. You know what I mean? And that's what I would say. It's just, I think we talk about this all the time. The U.S. economy is like this. It's the tallest in the world, but it's not the biggest. It's the tallest. Why is it the tallest? Because it's only in a few people's hands and they get a lot, but it's not spread out across in everybody's hands. You know what I mean? That's not stable. That's volatile. You see what I mean? So, that's how I look at it. But let's look at Cuba. I thought this was kind of funny. Let me see. Oh, one more comment. This American respects Denmark and Greenland. Hey, I appreciate that. No doubt. I mean, I think you wise for it, to be honest with you. Americans have been coming to Denmark for generations now too. You know what I mean? And so Danes, they are aware very much of a lot of different aspects of American life, and a lot of Danes live in the U.S. too. One of my colleagues spent some time, went to high school in New York, actually. You know, so it's not really like it's not like they're unaware of the U.S. at all. You know, we just, I think, are more unaware of what's going on in Denmark and how they do things in the country. You know, more inequality in America than anywhere else. It is. That's what I'm saying. You know, and I don't think that means that's a strong economy that way. When there's more inequality, it doesn't. You know, so the GDP is very high, but it's not spread out, and that's a danger. That's a flaw. You know, that creates insecurity, you know, in the country. And I hope more Americans start talking about this, because if more don't start talking about it, it's not going to change. You know, let me see here. Steve said, we've only got two problems in the United States right now: racism and corporate greed. Yeah, or just discrimination. Maybe I would say discrimination. Yeah, racism is one of the discriminations. There's gender bias. There's all kinds of discrimination in the U.S., man. I think you hear how many people, and I don't know, you can't always trust the trolls. The trolls are not really Americans all the time, but it does seem to be a significant amount of MAGA people that focus on sex, the sex of someone, or these kind of things, and not really focusing on equal pay, not really focusing on union job, not really focusing on, you know, fair housing. You know, not really, you know, and it's crazy. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I'm sorry. It's just crazy. You know what I mean? Why be so into somebody else's life like that more than you are into your own? It just don't make any sense. You know what I mean? Like, to be into your own life means, man, I want security in my own life. I don't give a fuck what somebody else is doing. We need security over here. We need steadiness over here and shit. And they just, nope, I don't want steadiness. I don't want this person. No, I don't want this lady having an abortion. She ain't gonna have an abortion on my tax dollars. And then when she had the baby, it's like, man, she ain't gonna get no child care on my tax dollars. It's like, what the? How about just make sure everybody gets, you know, fair access to child care? How about that? How about, if you want to have a child, you have a child. If you don't want to have a child, you don't have a child. If the doctor says this fetus is going to kill this lady, let it be her business, man. Let her handle her business without somebody coming in it. But if Don Lemon want to take a dude home with him and he want to get married to a dude, hey, it's not hurting me, man. I'm not hating on Don Lemon. I'm not caring about what I'm not even interested in knowing what they do in the bed. But I mean, I'm not trying to rap about that if I'm talking to Don Lemon. I'm trying to rap about, you know, the news. What the fuck? You know? But other people, they could literally sit up there and look at Don Lemon and be thinking, not hearing one goddamn thing he's saying. And in their brain is just tweaking and shit. Like thinking about all kinds of shit. I don't know. It bothers them. You know what I'm saying? But I just can't do that, man. To me, it's just too weird. You know what I'm saying? I think it's better when people know who they are and know what they want and try to live and let live. And if somebody else is willing to let you live and support you how you live, you should be able to support somebody else. There should be a mutual understanding there, you know. And I just think a lot of people, MAGA people particularly, don't want to live and let live. You know, I think a lot of their politics is anti someone else. It's not pro job. It's not pro unions, you know, job security or job safety. It's not pro housing security. It's, you know, it's just like all about this other stuff, trying to stop somebody else from doing something, living their life, you know. Yeah, I heard California on the state level, though, How to Live with a Smile is actually pretty strong when it comes to like healthcare. That's what I heard. And my guess, I don't know. Let me know what you think about Gavin Newsom. My thoughts is like, you know, there's a lot of covert hatred. Some people try to mask, try to say, instead of saying, because they know there's some success with the healthcare in California. So instead of saying that, what they say is they try to find something else that they can kind of pick on Gavin Newsom about, but really they want healthcare to, they don't want it to be so expansive, you know what I'm saying? So they flip the arguments around and get manipulative about it and shit, Luigi, my guy. I mean, people can say whatever they want, but Luigi stood on his business. He had a beef. He thought the shit is fraudulent, and he went out there and did what he thought he could do about it. Hey, I can't argue with him. I mean, the shit is fraudulent. The scam, the healthcare industry in the U.S. is scamming people. It's just an outright scam. That's my personal opinion. How he went about it, it's not me doing it that way, but at the same time, would anybody listen? How are people listening to the American people when they say the healthcare system is not, is not working? Are people listening? I put it to you this way. If you paid into healthcare 10 years, lost your job, your wife got sick, and 2 months down the line, you couldn't pay your deductible after paying 10 years because you lost your job. Now you can't pay your deductible and your wife gets sick. Is it fair that they say, nope, you can't get healthcare? Is that fair? Or is it not fair? And, but that happens in the United States every day. Is it fair that you pay health care 10 years and then all of a sudden when you need it, they tell you, oh, no, we don't cover this kind of thing because of this? Is that fair? Or is that a scam? So I have to say Luigi might be a little more correct about it. He might be a little more correct, than wrong. Now, how he went about it, people can debate that all they want. But was his original premise wrong? You know what I'm saying? About it being a scam. No, his original premise wasn't wrong at all. And, he didn't, notice one thing. He didn't go out there and kill somebody else for living the life the way they wanted to live it without hurting him. He didn't go kill somebody for living their life however they want to live it. It didn't hurt him. He wasn't one of those kind of people. He didn't say, you know what? You want to do this. You want to wear, you're a dude. Not that I'm a man. I ain't going to be wearing no goddamn dress. Okay. And I'm a heterosexual man. So I'll date women, right? That's what I'm interested in. And I understand how that works because I know people are programmed to feel the way they feel. You see what I mean? So that I know there's not much I can do about that. That's just who I am, right? But if some dude is minding his own business and wearing a dress, I'm not going to be tripping on or hating on that at all. I may not, it's just not my concern. It's just not my concern. You see what I mean? That person's not harming me. That person's not stopping me from going to work. That person's not taking away from my lifestyle. And so Luigi, with his politic, he didn't go out and hurt people that have a different lifestyle than him. He went out and he did something because he didn't like the healthcare system being a fraud. And that's totally different. You see what I mean? So, yeah, man. So, it wasn't like he was like, before he killed the dude, was like, is this motherfucker gay? You know what? No, he didn't say, did he go in the ladies' bathroom last week? He didn't stop to think that. None of that shit was in his manifesto. His manifesto was all about healthcare and shit. It didn't have anything about an abortion clinic in it. Nothing. Zero. It didn't have anything in it about foreigners and shit. It didn't have anything in it about, all this stuff these people go out and shoot people for, man, with manifestos. None of that shit in it. His shit was like, this is about healthcare, goddammit. So, I mean, can I hate on the dude? Nah, he wasn't gunning for me. He wasn't gunning for me. So what can I say? You know what I'm saying? How can I say this? I'm sorry. I got to think of my little Italian words I got to say to him. how could I forget Italian like this, man? It's because I've been speaking to somebody speaking Spanish. And yeah, como esta? Yes. Como esta, Luigi? How are you doing, Luigi? Yeah. How you doing? All right, now. But in any case, let's get back to this. I want to close out because I'm going to be back at at the normal time, right? So that is in about 11 hours from now. So I want to get back into Cuba. Bambolina, exactly, baby doll. Bambolina, scusi, como se dice? Yeah, como se dice? Healthcare, Italiani. Yeah, man. In any case, yeah. So vaffanculo also. That's also something. That's how you curse somebody out in Italian. Vaffanculo. Yeah. But Trump, I thought this was kind of funny now. The way that this Trump representative described the regime in Cuba. Listen to this. This is hilarious. The similarities.
Are calling for, arguing cutting off Cuba economically and politically is what is needed to push out the current regime. One of those lawmakers is Florida Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart, who joins Top Story tonight. Representative Diaz-Balart, we thank you for your time. You've been reacting to this news from the president, calling it a crucial step. Why do you feel this is such an important move right now?
Well, this is a state sponsor of terrorism. It is a government in Cuba that has been a thorn on the side.
So he said one of the excuses is this is state-sponsored terrorism. So he's accusing the Cuban government of state-sponsored terrorism. What a coincidence. Because the U.S. government regime right now is being accused of state-sponsored terrorism. That's interesting, right? Listen to what else he said.
Our national security interests for decades. And I'm just glad that this president is just not willing to look the other way. And he's actually confronting this terrorist regime 90 miles away. And so the way to do so is maximum pressure. That's the only thing that has ever worked. And I'm actually very grateful that this president is protecting our national security interests. And also, by the way, while doing so, helping the people hopefully regain their freedom in Cuba.
Play this out for me and for our viewers. What do you think happens, right? The United States starts to choke Cuba even more economically, cutting off the oil. Things are dire in Cuba. I'm going to ask you about that in a moment. But does this lead to regime change?
Things are dire in Cuba for the Cuban people. It's been dire for many, many years. And that's due to this terrorist regime that is not only corrupt, but it's also incompetent. And so, but yet the elite.
You hear that? Regime is not only corrupt, but it's also incompetent. But isn't that what they call the Trump administration? Isn't that what the opposition party in the U.S. is calling the Trump administration? Corrupt and also what? Incompetent?
Things are dire in Cuba for the Cuban people. It's been dire for many, many years. And that's due to this terrorist regime that is not only corrupt, but it's also incompetent. And so, but yet the elite is still doing relatively well.
But yet the elite is still doing relatively well. But even though in the U.S. they call the Trump administration corrupt, incompetent, the elite is doing pretty well. Isn't that ironic? How he's describing, Castro's regime is actually how the Trump administration is being described. It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, I really believe this is a sign of the times.
And maximum pressure will hopefully get the elite to realize that the only future is to get rid of the dinosaur that is.
Facts, Dennis. And listen now. Listen to this. Listen to this.
Is still doing relatively well. And maximum pressure will hopefully get the elite to realize that the only future is to get rid of the dinosaur that is Raul Castro and to have a process.
He called Israel Castro a dinosaur. Isn't that what they call Trump? I mean, who's older? Let me just check. Let me just fact check this. I'm sorry. Is the leader of Cuba older than Trump? I'm curious because I really don't know. It's just something to check in on and to verify, right? Let's see here. No, he's younger. Listen to this shit. He called him a dinosaur. Listen, y'all, this is crazy. Miguel, oh shit, the current leader of Cuba, Miguel Diaz-Canel, president of Cuba, born in 1820, 1960, age 65. Donald Trump, born June 14th, 1946, age 79. And he called him a dinosaur. But what did he call Trump? What is Trump? A spring chicken? What the fuck? This is crazy. What did he call it?
By the way, that's also what U.S. law statute states, which is the sanctions go away as soon as there is a transition. That is the goal. It's good for our national security. It's good for the region. And it's absolutely great for the Cuban people, for there to be a change on the island.
But Congressman, walk us through it, though. What do you think happens here? I mean, make it as simple as possible, right? You're cutting off the oil, cutting off...
dude is 79 years old. He's calling, look, so he thinks the leader of Cuba is a dinosaur. What does that make Trump? Is there anything older than a fucking dinosaur? What the hell?
Process towards election. By the way, that's also what U.S. law statute states, which is the sanctions go away as soon as there is a transition. That is the goal. It's good for our national security. It's good for the region. And it's absolutely great for the Cuban people, for there to be a change on the island.
But Congressman, walk us through it, though. What do you think happens here? I mean, make it as simple as possible, right? You're cutting off the oil, cutting off the supply of needed resources. Then what happens? Does the Cuban government suddenly surrender? They wave the white flag? Do the people revolt? What do you think is going to happen there?
Yeah, I look, the Cuba right now is like Jurassic Park. It's the head is a dinosaur that's over 90 years old, who, again, is still in power because of terror. But the elite around him have to...
That is a ridiculous... I mean, they're acting like the country hasn't had different leadership. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not capping for the Castro regime or anything like that in Cuba. For me, my thoughts on it is that, we do a lot to help the Castro regime. Like, I don't think, for example, cutting off trade with them actually is the wisest thing. In my mind, that actually hurts. That actually hurts the people more than it hurts the regime, And in my mind, Obama opening up trade with them was smarter, right? Because then they get access to more American stuff. Very simple. That can't be good for a dictator. You see what I mean? But they made that deal with Obama. And now Trump overturned it and cut them off. And in my view, when you do that, you push people back into the arms kind of these dictators, right? Instead of the opposite, instead of moving them away. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just a little curious about that. Like, I don't really get it, to me, I just think this is about running away from, they're running away from the American people when they do this stuff. Instead of being at home, working on all the issues that the American people want, they're busy talking about other places. And it's sad because, to be honest, Cuba has revolutionized some things. They have done some positive things in the Americas. It's not all a negative story at all. And a lot of Cuban people are proud of some of those things, like the fact that they have health care. I mean, it's struggling, but the fact that they had health care and have helped other countries with certain epidemics and healthcare issues, they've trained and educated a lot of doctors. I mean, in their school system, in Cuba, and sent them out to other countries to assist. That's not something to just be overlooked. You know what I mean? So they aspire to be great. They don't aspire to be losers in Cuba. And I just think that we're going about it the wrong way, man. You can't always... and I put it to you this way: the Crips and Bloods can't always fight. That just gets old after a while. And I think this regime, what Trump is doing, is not progressive. It's not it's kind of just like the same old strategy that didn't work last time, just repeating it again for the hell of it. I'm not really for it because I think American people know each other well enough to be able to work together in other ways. Even if we disagree, we can still work to each other's benefit or to help each other out on a lot of stuff, you know, and it's in our benefit to do that, you know. So I just think this is bullshit, you know, overall myself, you know. I just think it's bullshit, you know. But if Cuban people don't want it, I would be curious to hear from some Cuban people, you know, in Cuba. Obviously that's or in Denmark. It's a lot of Cubans that live in Denmark, by the way. I've met a few, but I haven't talked about the politics in Cuba so much with them. Only about cultural things, you know, Pan-American culture, music, food, stuff like that. Everybody knows the politicians are politicians, so everyday Americans don't have anything against Cubans. Everyday Cubans don't have anything against everyday Americans. You know, I know it's like that. It's more like government stuff, government issues that are the problem, you know, but
is that there's no future with this regime, that the only future is a transition towards democracy. And hopefully what will happen is, do I think that Raul Castro is going to change? No, but hopefully the people around him realize that hanging on to this dinosaur as if they were living on Jurassic Park is no longer feasible. There's no other future, and therefore hopefully they will start pushing for a change, for a real change, which will help our national security. It will be stabilizing for the region and will also be very helpful to the Cuban people.
Some journalists on the ground in Cuba have been gathering reaction from residents there to this executive order, some calling it, quote, abusive and saying it will cause a lot of harm to the people and the economy. You also represent many Cuban Americans, some who still have family in Cuba, people they want to help. There's going to be a cap now on how much money they can send back in. You know the situation there better than anyone, right? There's this mosquito-borne epidemic because they don't pick up the garbage there. People are ill. They can't leave their homes. No gas, no food, no electricity. I mean, it is beyond Jurassic Park. There was, at least before the dinosaurs took over, there were some resources in Jurassic Park. There's not even that in Cuba anymore. So my question to you is, how do you balance both without thinking about just the humanitarian needs on the island?
Yeah, look, it's horrible, but the people have been struggling and suffering way before this executive order. The reason that the suffering is going on is...
Yeah. Hold on, what is this? X through the glass says, who looks at the U.S. and thinks, yeah, they've got their shit together. Let's emulate their political system. Yeah, who does that? Who the fuck does that? I don't know anybody that does that. You know, I mean, nobody does it because how can you treat your poor and middle class like shit? And want to expect another country to emulate that shit. The only people emulating the U.S. right now is motherfucking Russia. I mean, people like really no. We've lost the battle on progressiveness. The U.S. We've lost that battle. You know, we're not proving to the world that we take care of each other better than anybody else. We're not proving to the world how our system takes care of its citizens better than anybody else's system. We're no longer in that race. You know, we're completely out of that race now. Our race is more like proving that you don't have to show that you're better through how you treat your citizens. Like, that's our race. Our race is like, somebody said, have I been to Russia? No, I haven't. But I met a lot of people that have been to Russia. I met a lot of Russians too. But you know, yeah. Have you been to Russia, Chad? Where did you go? You know, Russia's a big country, man. Don't think Moscow was the only place to go. You know, but yeah, you know, I think there's a lot of Russians trying to leave Russia right about now, man. And they were before too, but they definitely trying to leave right now. But look, I'm not saying Russia is better. I'm not saying I'm not really caring if it's better or worse. What I'm saying is that who's trying to emulate, you know, like the only people trying to emulate what Trump is doing to their own people. That's what's going on. Russians are poor, man. Russians are poor. I'm not dissing Russians, but the regime in Russia sucks all the money out of Russia. It has driven the country in the ground. And they still have billionaires just sitting around there running it like it's normal. Like that's normal. Nobody else in fucking Europe wants to live like that, man. People in Europe want rights. They want freedom. And they don't want a government that's fucking oppressing their ass and a bunch of rich people running around every day showing off, showing their ass. That's not what free people want. You know, and I'm sorry, but the U.S. is turning that way. It's turning into that. It's not emulating what other Western countries is doing. It's emulating Russia.
Because of this regime.
And it wants to invade Cuba and shit. It's like, okay, like, I mean, look, isn't it? Russia wants to invade Ukraine. Trump with his billionaire oligarchy, while the rest of the country don't even have fucking health care. They don't even know if they're going to pay their goddamn budget. You know, the budget, they don't even want to pay the budget now and shit. And they talking about invading goddamn Cuba. Your budget ain't even paid. Your federal budget is not even passed through Congress yet. And you worried about invading a fucking country? You got the nerve. You got some nerve. That is crazy, man. That's crazy.
That is abusive to its own people and also totally inept. And so here's the question. Do we continue to help fund or allow for that regime to continue to be funded with credits and oil from other countries? Or do we say enough is enough? Every other president has been willing to look the other way. And some presidents, U.S. presidents, have actually tried to help that regime, appease that regime. It is time to apply maximum pressure. And
no, that it's not about helping the regime. It's about, you know, there's different ways to deal with different problems. You know, but you got to have something that's consistent. You can't say bash, and then just, okay, we gone, now we change our policy and expect that to work either. You know, it's very simple. It's very simple. If you're right next to a well-functioning country with a strong, stable economy that is thriving in every way possible, it is impossible to not affect the country next to you. It's impossible. So if you keep the country open, if you keep open trade with them, you're going to consume them any goddamn way, pretty much. You know, what the fuck? What is this? Instead, cutting them off is pushing them into somebody else's arms. It's the same goddamn thing that he's about to do with Cuba. Colombia. It's the same thing. You want to isolate Colombia? Well, who are you helping when you try to isolate Colombia? Are you helping the U.S. or are you hurting the U.S. and helping China? That's what this is about. So they're actually pushing Cuba away from the U.S., you know? And listen, that doesn't mean Cuban people hate American people. But this thing about the politic, the way the neocons are dealing with other nations, man, that is the problem. That is the problem. If we just open up trade, they would be using the same cell phones we using. They would be listening to the same music we listening. They would even be eating a lot. We would be getting a lot of their things that they need. They would be getting a lot of shit from us. What is the issue? What's the issue? And when we cut it off, they're forced to only get shit from. They're forced to get stuff from everywhere else. And look, China's going to end up owning Cuba. You know what I'm saying? I mean, really. You know, this is what we have done, in my view. We've pushed them more to China than we've pushed them towards us. Not that they should want to be us. They're different. They're proud of who they are. But we're all Americans. You know what I mean? We're all Americans. How different is our history? Their blood runs in our blood. Our blood runs in their blood. What is this? This is they're Americans. Caribbean Americans. That's just what they are, you know? And, you know, we seem to create more enemies out of people that are actually very close to us and have every reason to be, for us to be embracing them. And, you know, we try to create too many goddamn enemies, man. And it's like, that's what this regime is doing. And I think Obama was exactly right. I think he knew what he was doing. I don't think the Castro regime, what they did was historic. when they were able to normalize and open up trade, the fact that they were willing to do that was just as big as the U.S. being willing to do it. And they're a small country, but the fact that they were willing to do that was revolutionary. Trump came along and stopped it. And you know, an old geezer like Trump only stops shit for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? He just only does it. You know what I'm saying? Let me see here. American right wing talk about immigrants all day, but they never ask why these people come here. Exactly. We invading their goddamn countries, man. We're destabilizing them. And look, how are you going to have a war with Venezuela? And you know that more Venezuelans are going to flee. Where are they going to go? So you don't want them fleeing to the United States of America. Where you want them fleeing to? You want them fleeing to neighbor islands where their life, there's not really much they can get there. Of course, they're going to dream about coming to the main economy in the whole hemisphere. Of course, they're going to dream about that. So, you know, we're not being responsible, man. We're not being responsible culturally on the continent of America, like straight up. We're not being good stewards of Americanism. You know, that's my view, Chad, like straight up. That's my view. And I think the moment we get a president and we get politicians that understand that, hey, we're just other Americans. We're just other Americans. We're like Canadians. We're like Mexicans. We're like Brazilians. We're like Colombians. We're like Cubans. We just the same. There's nothing different. Shit, I like some merengue. I like some goddamn salsa. I like Cuban food. I like Brazilian food. I like the music instruments. We and where I come from, we use the same damn instruments to play music that they do. I like jazz, Cuban jazz. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? What is this? There was a time where everyone understood this. We understood Calypso. It was Pan-American music. We understood all of this. There was a time where this was Pan-American music in America. Pan-American culture in America. There was a time where that existed. We turned everything into something imaginary. You know what I mean? And it's like killing us, yo. It's going to harm us. It's going to harm us. Our ignorance is going to harm us. You know, it's harming us. It's harming us. And I'm not trying to say that we haven't done good things. There's a lot that we create in the U.S., a lot that the people produce and create, a lot to it. But when we let these kind of right-wing regimes take the lead, man, they just act like they jealous of other people, you know? That's what they act like, you know? They're scared of just accepting other Americans. They don't respect the fact that these people are Americans too. They on the American continent. They're just as American as anybody else. They don't have to be different to prove that they're American because they are on the American continent.
This was the same argument that was used against the sanctions in South Africa. Oh, it's going to hurt the people if you sanction South Africa. No, you have to help the people by doing everything possible to allow and to facilitate a change of regime. In this case, it's also an anti-American terrorist state that welcomes Hezbollah, Iran, China, and every other terrorist group around the country.
But again,
just 90 miles away.
Again, it's not so much that they're welcoming them, it's that we're pushing them away from us. If we're busy pushing them away, everyone else is busy welcoming, you know, and it's so sad, you know what I'm saying, that they're trying to spit this. And he really has some nerve because even right now under Trump, man, again, people are not happy. MAGA folk ain't happy. They're not in the happiest country on earth. They don't even have the budget paid for the federal government. They haven't even passed it. They don't even agree on it. And yet these dudes are acting like what you do when you can't pay your bills is invade another country. That's literally what they're doing right now. And it's too much, man. So, yeah. But in any case, I'm going to be out, y'all. I appreciate everybody for tuning in again. Let me read some of these comments. How to the doctors are not being paid or being paid late and don't want to deal with the Medicare. U.S. ambassador to UN just got shamed. Go UN. Oh, really? Yeah. Well, that's good. Let me see what. I mean, but we're the embarrassment of the world right now. We're the laughing stock of the world. The Trump regime is the laughing stock of the world. They're the imbeciles. You know, total imbeciles, man. And Americans, we're going to suffer as long as they're in power, you know. Let me see. 139 fish tacos at El Pueblo. Same price since 1985. Oh, really? Everything else is $15. Okay, damn. Yeah, you know. I would never understand. I would never understand this kind of dynamic. I don't, man. And it's because I know the history of my own continent where I come from and grew up in. So I will never understand this kind of senselessness, like, you know, trying to, you know what this reminds me of? We talked about this before, how the American mindset has been created, you know. And when you read books like Frantz Fanon, he talks about the effects of, he's got 2 books. One is called The Wretched of the Earth, and the other is called Black Skin, White Mask. But The Wretched of the Earth is really, really deep. Both are deep books, but The Wretched of the Earth is specifically about the mindset of a colonized person of African descent, let's say, right? And what the effects are on the mind. Some of the legal, some of the not legal, but some of the gymnastics you got to jump through to feel normal, right? The gymnastics that you have to jump through to have an identity, right? Some of the contradictions and things like that you have to think, the pieces that you have to put together to make a whole, right? And but when I look at this, right, to me it seems like MAGA struggles from that, and that they project a lot. So for me, you can only be what you are. You can't be what you imagine. That's not possible. So the safest identity should be rooted in reality. It should be rooted in what is common and plain and plentiful of, you know, obvious. And so when we're dealing with the American mentality, this thing about thinking that U.S. Americans are different from other Americans, it's problematic because we have the same history. We're not actually different. We're different in nation name, but we're not different in culture. We're not different in culture at all. We're different in nation name and in language only. What European language do we speak? That's the only difference in the name of the country. Outside of that, the culture is not that different. You know what I'm saying? It's not that different. I'm sorry. It's not that different, man. You got, you know, and I know this because I've been to the northern part. I've been to the southern part. I've been to the north, you know, I've been to Canada, and I know Canadian culture. I know how it's similar to, you know, American, you know, U.S. culture, how it's similar. Some of the dynamics they have in Canada are dynamics that exist all over America. Some of the dynamics they have in South America, in Brazil, for example, are elements that exist all over America. You know, certain cultural dishes and things like this, some of these transcend boundaries. And, you know, and it's because they've been brought to the continent by a mixture of different people, to the northern continent, to the southern continent, to the Caribbeans. And then we fuse it with Native American elements that are there. You see what I mean? So we all have that dynamic going on. So that's what actually makes an American. And when we try to get into this box of like, I'm from the U.S., I'm a U.S. American, that's supposed to mean something, they're different from me, that's it. To me, I see that as a losing battle. And not that you can't try to fight that economically, maybe, but you will drive your brain crazy trying to do it. You will. And look at this guy. Just look at him. I even believe he might even be a Cuban immigrant himself. He might even be a Cuban immigrant himself. But listen, let's be honest. We have Americans all over America that look like this. We got Americans all over America that look like me. We got Americans all over America that look like somebody, you know, different types. But they're all across America, in every country in America. Every country. You see what I'm saying? So when are we gonna embrace that? You see what I mean? Like, yeah. So it bothers me, man. It really bothers me. I don't know. But in any case, I'm gonna be out, y'all. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, I appreciate everybody in the chat, and it's been a good conversation. Also, I agree. Love can always be found if you look. Yeah, definitely. It should be. I mean, that's how I live my life, to be honest with you. And of course, there's always dynamics you don't expect, and there's always some negative too. But you gotta stand on who you are, and you gotta stand on what you believe, regardless of the negativity. You know what I mean? Because if who you are and what you believe is strong enough to get you through negativity, then it's worth standing on and it's worth holding on to. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I look at it. And I just hope I hope to meet other people like that, because then we can have a good old time. Then things enhance. Average life becomes, a little bit better life than average. You see what I mean? When we kind of have those small elements in place, you know what I mean? We can maximize our potential together and enjoy the things that we have all around us, a little bit more, especially the things that are for free. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah. But in that note, I'm out. I'm going to catch up with everybody later. I appreciate everybody for coming out. And I will see you guys in about 10 hours. What is it? About, what is it? 11 hours from now. All right. Peace, y'all. 1. Impeach Trump. Indeed. See y'all.
I know how to see a whack MC when he bustin', but I just back away real cool, no fussin'. I'd rather go kicking in the streets with the bums and use the knowledge to collect some funds. Open a non-profit and build a damn school. And this is the story of how a great king rules. There's many that claim to know the local demographic, but don't have the nerve to tell you the truth. It's tragic, but I do, so sit back and let me spit this shit to you. You feel better when I spit this shit to you, despite the system trying to clamp down on the people. People will learn how to stand up to evil. Not evil that's across the globe, that's too far, but evil that lies in their own backyard. And fighting, it's not an option, they can't win. The government, it's not supposed to represent sin, but then again they do, and that's a problem. So let's go down and figure out how to solve them. It's not fun being a rapper that can't speak, but we do, yes, and plus we make fat beats. Yo, we smoke weed, break up trees. Listen, bringing fat beats, that is our mission. You wanted to see us, homeboy, shut up and listen. Thelonious and Big Bennett, brother, check the vision. Mentalities of different realities. Enter the Star Trek room when you hear the boom. I be the Walkman with the super bass. Automatic stop, yes, stereo cassette player. With the delayer, freaky lyrical sprayer. Extraterrestrial rhyme sayer. I be the poetical VIC/master of the ceremony. Tenderoni, won't you come step with me? I'm on a historical journey. Kinda like Sigourney. Implore me to represent the attorney that represents my niggas, go figure. It's the card, they call me Uncle Vigor. Niggas love your blunts, down your liquors. I read the parallel to the fiction. You're fixated on this brother's nature. Relaxed behavior, I might save your change. Flip it, rearrange the whole concept. You was good for all your brain. Insane, psychotic, neurotic, black onyx, and hooked on phonics. Just atomic, bees like a bonnet. Cut with the Asiatic, they all up on it. Rhyme static with the Bugatti type of skill. You wonder, is this nigga Vic really for real? It's still, but only necessary in the berry. I'm milk like dairy, they quite contrary. That's scary, but I'm a dog in a prairie. I scurry to grab my bones and just bury. Lyrical flurry, go get your secretary with impeccable diction. My style might vary, so get a hold of your own shit real fast. Fucking with us, we take it right out your ass. Prairie dogs chill while the other dogs howl. Too many dogs get sent to the pound. Back on the hill, me and my peeps just lounge. Prairie dogs, we keep it on the down. Splatter, don't like gun splatter. We try to climb the ladder, wicked men get better. They make it like splatter, but it really don't matter. Cause you know we come coming back to our sons and our daughters. Father, him the one who protects ya, and the mother, she will never neglect ya. Through divine nature, the people respect ya, and in this way I deliver my lecture. Sometimes I think about, does love still exist? Yeah, I have my doubts. On the street, I check out how brothers be living. Yo, let's just say, kid, it ain't no Thanksgiving. We got people shooting dope, ain't never heard of hope. We got others with the gat and the brothers with the fucking scope. As I enter the project center rec rooms, some brothers might see the doom. I see my nigga Paulo, fat pockets of papes. He knows the neighborhood biddies with all the dopest shapes. There goes Rollo with the blowout fro. He's got a gat, ayo niggas gots to go. No show is live with narrate, fuck Memorex. My nigga Rollo's got a gat at Paulo's chest. One slug blasted out, down boy died. Now show me some love, kid, it sounds like a fucking lie. And yes, you know the struggle goes on. People trying to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long. Pain without a limit, so wrong. Sometimes I think how the world come to this, a place where every man and woman needs a therapist. Mass confusion, people living in delusion, justify all the bullshit through the Constitution. Meanwhile, the masses struggle to survive. I think we're too busy to hear our people's cries. Singles mothers struggle to raise families. Genocide committed through famine and disease. I wonder if these things will ever cease to exist. I know it could if we cease and desist. Giving all the power to the industrialists, giving all our power to the damn commercialists. They see us just as being sheep in this world, that want us to do what we're told like boys and girls. Oh God, I wanna live another day so I can help provide equality and this day. And the struggle goes on, people trying to survive, hold on. Though we know it's been so long, pain without a limit, so wrong. Everybody round the globe, open up your earlobe, your third eye, and then decipher the code. Through knowledge, understanding, then bring love into the concept instead of bling bling. Truth instead of biased educational methods, twisting, contorting God's message of love for every human being. Listen, motherfucker, don't you hear the screams? It's time to do much more than talk, debate, and spread hate. We need to think and at the same time investigate, understand what our actions may create. Before continuing the cycle we procreate, we can clone humans, but at the same time we can't feed humans. The future of man is actually looming. It's really depressing, it's true. And yes, you know the struggle goes on. People trying to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long. Pain without a limit, so wrong.
Take heed. 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 Take heed.
I traveled the globe just to gain perspective, the theory of relativity applied. Of course, it took a while to decide how I should proceed, but even my life is truly based upon need. So I move forward with more deliberate speed, smash corny motherfuckers that stuck on greed. My seed is worth more than $1 million in future stock. The goal is to break the safe, the padlock. Mad cats can't stop it, need a rocket. Your style is boring and cold, mine is tropic. Battles you want, commit, you'll change the topic. My partner stood there to put your beat in the pocket. So this nigga here can proceed to destroy your stereotypical pop rap gangsta ploy. Not hating on niggas from the ghetto, but I'm hating on copycat rappers from the meadow. They procreate bullshit without paying the price. That's like talking about CeeLo with no dice. I drink milk, but that's about it. I won't compare dairy MCs to dope shit.
I want you full undivided in this here place. We came to entertain and to educate your bum ass niggas and your non-believers. You know we change your membrane every time you see us. The others can't stand the way we make away ease, the way we get love from the finest ladies. Oh my son, oh here comes another one. I love to take it to the place that lies under the sun.
Style witty, come from Chocolate City. Today I'm on the march with I invited $1 million from the Million Man March to stomp on fake gangster rappers so they don't need starch. For the funeral suits, we shine boots and make the radio